5 clicks. 5 clicks today. What's up with the camera? Camera's in a weird place. Hold on. Let me make it a little bit. I don't know. Is that better? Oh, I'm in a weird place. That's what it is. I'm not in the proper position. There we go. There we go. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. It is the Rant. I am Pugs Moran, live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful south side of Chicago, Burbank to be exact. Oh, my God. With a good southerly wind, I could spit and hit Midway Airport. Spin the other direction, I'm blanketing Marquette Park. We are in the heart of the most demonized city in America. That's my opinion. Hi, everybody. How are you? Let's go. Where's the chat room? I need people in the chat room. I need to say hi to people. We've got Maddie, and Maddie's first. Maddie's first in the chat room. Waiting on other of my chat. Where's all my chatters at? Usually they're here. Getting a little bit arranged here at the studio. Hold on. Yeah, I'll wait. I'm going to wait until another fucking chatter shows up because this is absurd. We usually have at least 6 chatters by this point in the show. There we go. All right, now we can continue. It was weird when it was just me and Maddie. I'm just like doing a show for Maddie, which would not be a problem, but let's be honest, that would be a problem. That would be a big problem if it was just me doing a show for Maddie. All right, who else is in the chat room? Let's go. Seriously. At this point in the show, there is typically people for me to say hello to. I see the numbers. I see that there are more people. Guys, the chat room is an integral part of what we're doing here. I have no net. I am just out here on a tightrope stream of consciousness ranting about the day's news for 2 hours at a clip, sometimes more. I rely on the chat room to be there. Set me straight when I drift too far. And I don't see it. And I got stuff I want to say at the beginning, so I want to make sure there's people in the chat room to hear it. Where's my chatters? Do I have the chat right? Maybe it's me. The numbers are climbing. We got people listening. All right. Now, you know what? I'm not continuing until we get a full chat room. I look fat like this. Look at this. Look at me. I'm like, oh, I got to do this. If I'm going to be on camera, I'm not even going to try and be on mic. Well, I mean, I look fat. I probably look fat because I am, in fact, fat. All right. I think there's something wrong with the chat room because the numbers say that we have a full house and there is nobody. Hi, there's Taronda. All right. I can continue now. All right. I need Taronda. I need Barney. There's Barney. I say it and he appears. Here we go. There we go. Sports bras are here. All right. Now I feel like I'm not shouting at clouds. Now I feel like I'm shouting at my KB is here. There we go. All right. I was really worried because the numbers, I see the numbers. I see how many people are actually logged in. And then I see no chat. I see Maddie in the chat. What? Maddie, did you fart? What happened? The chat room just cleared up, but now we're here. All right, very good. Welcome to the show. We got a lot of stuff we're going to get into today. Oh, I need to pull up my one sheet that I make every morning here. I did something today, guys. And I wanted to have a full chat room because I wanted to explain what it is that I did, at least to the people that I talk to every day, the people that I know, my chat people. I'll tell you about what that is in a minute. All right, what are we going to get into? We got a whole bunch of stuff we got to talk about today. The rundown of the show, I'll just give you some of the things that I'm interested in. We've got mayhem on the streets of Caracas, updates from the Collectivos. I guess that's what they're called. That's a new word that we're all going to start saying like we've been saying it forever. Collectivos. We should do that in America instead of, demonizing our group of minority youths who gather and create mayhem. Instead of calling them gangbangers, let's call them collectivos. Collectivos, it's nicer. So yeah, we got some updates on what's going on in the streets of Caracas. We're also going to talk about who's next. What's up? What's up? Who wants some of this? There's more coming, or at least that's what the president is kind of saber rattling. We had a bunch of countries that are on alert. So let's talk about who's next. We'll spin the invasion roulette wheel and see where we're probably going to end up next. I think I know where we're going to end up. I'll tell you all about that. What else do we have? All right, who's next? Bongino, this guy. Okay, remember the second most important guy in the FBI like 3 weeks ago? Yeah, no, he's back doing podcasts. And he has a mission statement, and we'll share that with you. What is the new Bongino? What's his name? It's like Dan Bongino, former assistant director of the FBI. Former highly paid Cumulus shit stirrer. Cumulus is one of the radio operators in this country. He's back, and he's got a mission statement, and we'll share that for you. It's kind of surprising. I got a take on it. We'll talk about Bongino and what he's doing. Also, a story we want to dig into here because it crept up on me. I didn't even know this was a thing until this morning. It feels like something that I should have been monitoring more closely since this is one of my big gripes of the past couple of years. Adrian Rodriguez. Rodriguez. Oh, my God. Look at me. Racist. Adrian Gonzalez. Adrian Rodriguez is a baseball player. Hell, Adrian Gonzalez is a baseball player. Adrian Gonzalez is a Uvalde police officer who did nothing, and he is on trial. He's on trial in Corpus Christi, and we'll get into that trial, and we'll talk about whether or not we should be putting our police officers in prison for not being good police officers. It's a tricky debate, and they're having it in a courtroom down there in Corpus Christi, so we'll talk about that. All right, we've got Bongino's new grift. We got the Uvalde thing. What else? Tim Walz. We'll talk about Tim Walz. Okay, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, former lapdog for Kamala Harris in that horrifically run presidential campaign from a year ago, I guess. So we'll get into Tim Walz. What's going on with him? What's next for him? Yeah, because that's the big question. What's next? All right, we'll get into that. Tim Walz. We're trying to deport Nicki Minaj, apparently. Apparently, Nicki Minaj is now on the ICE list, which we'll talk about that. See if she gets kicked out. Also, I've decided in 2026 that one of the backbones of this show is something that I have dabbled in for the previous 4 years. We've been doing this show every day at noon. And that is my tearing down of the rich. You know how I hate the super rich? I know that ironic, right? I was embedded for years in the heart of Highland Park, Texas, the wealthiest zip code in America just about every year, right? I mean, we are talking about billionaires. I was embedded in the middle. I saw how they live. More than that, I stood in line with them at 7-Eleven. I know how they act towards other people. So the show has always been about fuck those people. And, how about a little something for us in the middle? What I'm going to do in 2026 is I'm going to stop that. I'm going to stop with the targeted tearing down of the rich. And instead, I am going to focus on us, the working class and the middle class. Yesterday, I talked about the death of the mid-tier restaurant and dining experience. Yeah, we talked about that, how the middle class is the one who's going to suffer, because what's happening in the hospitality industry is that the really expensive places, really, where you go for your daughter's graduation or whatever, the real expensive places are booming. Oh my God, you can get a $500 steak on every corner in America. Also, the Dollar Trees and actually that's more for food, but like the fast food, like little places, those where it costs like $5 for a burger, those places, they're doing fine too. It's not doing fine? The mid-tier experiences for the working class, the mid-tier experience of going to a fucking TGI Fridays with the family on a Friday night, right? That is going away. Why? Can't make money off us. So fuck us. So we are going, well, we talked about it yesterday. I don't want to get into it again. Today, we're going to talk about another phenomenon that we're seeing, this time not in the hospitality industry, but how about we turn our attention to the housing market and we look at the death of the starter home. No more starter homes for young families. Hell, they can't get a mortgage anyway. So we'll talk about this phenomenon that we're looking at. Look, all of these things that are fucking this country up are targeted towards us, the middle class, the working class. Not the upper middle class. The upper middle class are rich people. They like to call themselves middle class because they haven't hit the $1 billion mark yet. But you find me somebody with $50 million and they're going to go around going, we're upper middle class. We're middle class. You ain't middle class. Fucking rich people, working class, poor ass folks. That's what we got. They're going to always do shit for the poor ass folks, which is fine because we should, in the world's wealthiest country, take care of our most needy. But we're bending over backwards to cater to the wealthy class, and it's us, the middle class, the working class, the people who go to work every day, and the people who have to put kids through college, and the people who are driving shit cars because they can't afford a new one this year. Those are the people who are getting screwed, and in 2026, I promise that we're going to talk about us more. And we'll continue that today with a conversation about the death of the starter home. Also, we got some fun stuff, too. We got some we got some good, I don't know who any of these people are. Not true. I know who some of them are, but I'm not like fans of them. There is some mom group drama. You guys know what mom groups are? Mom groups are like where moms with new babies, they all get together and they hang out and they drink wine and they get shit-faced and their kids all play in a heap over in a corner somewhere. Oh yeah, and then they post about it on Instagram and they're like, they're living their best lives. We've got some celebrity mom group drama. Concerns, I'll throw some names out for you. Concerns Hillary Duff, Mandy Moore. Who else? Megan Trainor, Ashley Tisdale. Oh yeah, I don't know who any of those people are, except Mandy Moore. Mandy Moore was in Entourage, so I know who she is. She dated Vinny Chase for a while. That's my full. Megan Trainor, I don't know who she is. I've heard her name a lot. Like, she must have been popular, real popular for like 3 months, 2 years ago, but I don't know who she is now. I don't know who she is. Anyway, we'll talk about that. We'll get into the mom drama. Also, what else do we have? Flus is out. We'll talk about that. I think we all kind of knew that was coming. We talked a little bit about Matt Eberflus and the job there in Cowboy land as defensive coordinator. He's out after 1 year. I don't know if it's a right move, but whatever. Something had to be done. You gotta appease the season ticket holders by making them think something. They weren't gonna fire Shoddy. You know, they don't fire a head coach. They probably still got a fucking balloon payment due him at some point, so he's safe. But Eberflus, you can get rid of him. You can get rid of him. He'll be fine. There's plenty of defensive coordinator jobs that he'll settle into. They took Micah Parsons away from him. It's like he comes into the job. He's like, okay, so I'm going to base this entire scheme that I've been planning for this team on having a shutdown edge rusher who is going to dominate. So I'm going to be able to run zone when I need to, and I'm going to be able to force quick pass. All of that went away. Like his whole defense, his whole scheme. And as I said yesterday, this isn't the first time this happened to Matt Eberflus. It happened to him in Chicago. He thought he had Roquan. He thought he had Jackson, Roquan Smith, Akeem Hicks, who's that? Khalil Mack. He thought he had all of these guys when he took over the Chicago Bears. And then by the time the first practice hit, they were all gone. But we in Chicago saw him patchwork a defense that works. So I'm surprised to see, the Cowboys getting ready to get rid of him, but he's easy to get rid of because he's kind of dopey. He's like, bing, bing, bing. He's dopey Eberflus, so you can get rid of him. But okay, whatever. So they're in the market now for a new defensive coordinator. Hey, it's too bad you took a huge shit on Al Harris last year, right? Because I'm sure you'd love him. He's gonna end up over at Washington, I think. Al Harris, of course, the defensive backs coach for the Chicago Bears. Here's how good Al Harris is. Are you ready for how good Al Harris is? And Jerry Jones was like, nah, we're not going to promote you. You were the assistant head coach under Mike McCarthy. We got a clean house. You're gone. Fucking insulted Al Harris, who was ready for his DC job. Hell, he's probably ready for an HC job. Al Harris with the Cowboys. Excuse me. Harris from 20 to 24 with the Cowboys, right? He was the defensive backs coach, and he was also McCarthy's assistant head coach. 2021, Trayvon Diggs led the NFL with 11 interceptions. 2023, Deron Bland, remember that big year for him where he went all pro and he broke the NFL record for pick sixes? This is what Al Harris does. He gets his unit, his players playing lights out. The Chicago Bears have one of the worst defenses in all of football. And guess what they do? They lead the league in takeaways. That's Al Harris training those boys up. But Jerry was a dick to him. So, yeah, he's looking for a DC job, and it's looking like Al Harris is going to go take over the Commanders' DC job and give a big fuck you to Dallas. I hope he can get past that. I hope that Al Harris is still in play down there because we're going to lose him. We know we're going to lose him. That's understood. Unless we fire. I mean, there is a chance. There is a chance that with the worst defense in the league, we might let Dennis Allen go, which I wouldn't do. I think Dennis Allen is a fine defensive coach. I think this year. I think we have no talent. I think that's the problem. We got no talent. Chicago Bears have no rush. Zero rush. The corners have to do everything. And anyway, there is a chance, I suppose, that the Chicago Bears could fire Dennis Allen and elevate Al Harris to defensive coordinator. That could be a thing, but we'll see. Anyway, Cowboys fired Flus, and we'll get into that. What else are we going to do today? Okay. So I finally watched. People who know me know that I am a Springsteen freakazoid. I just love the guy. I love the guy as a human being. I love the guy as a dude. Just like, just the endless stories of, hey man, I was at a grocery store in Freehold, New Jersey, and I ran into Bruce Springsteen at the deli. Oh, we had a nice guy. He's just cool with everybody. He's just not security. He's one of the biggest stars in the world. He lives in a small town. They protect him. It's very Dave Chappelle-like. Dave Chappelle did that. Dave Chappelle went and moved to a very small town, and that town protects him. People don't bother him in that town. Springsteen's kind of got that same vibe. Anyway, the movie, Deliver Me From Nowhere, came out couple of months ago, and everybody's like, have you seen it yet? Have you seen it yet? Have you seen it yet? And I haven't wanted to see it. I haven't wanted to see it for a couple of reasons. One, it's not a full-on Dylan or Freddie Mercury bio about his life, although it does give you a very well-rounded picture of his life. It focuses almost exclusively on the writing of Nebraska, which is an album that I absolutely love, but it is an album for Springsteen fans. It ain't Born in the USA. It ain't Born to Run. It ain't that. It is a completely different kind of album, and Bruce was going through some serious depression when he wrote it and all that. So the album is about that, or the movie is about that. And so I was kind of like, oh man, that seems like it's going to be slow. I didn't love the casting of Jeremy Allen White as Bruce Springsteen. I didn't love it from the very beginning. I was like, nope, that fucking nose is going to distract me. If somebody is going to play Springsteen on screen, I kind of would have gone with a complete unknown. I would have gone with like what they did with Elvis Presley and Austin, whatever his name is, Austin, whatever. He wasn't a big star. He was known to like kids and stuff, but the mainstream, he wasn't a big star. Jeremy Allen White's already a big star to grown-ups. Jeremy Allen White is already known, probably. There's a Venn diagram out there somewhere that shows people who watch The Bear and people who love Springsteen. And I think that there's a big overlap. It's that audience, right? It's a smarter audience. It's a more poetic leaning audience. That's what I mean. So when you have Jeremy Allen White, who is, Carmy from The Bear, or even going back a Lip from Shameless, and you're also really familiar with Bruce Springsteen, I had a difficult time making that work going into the film. That's one of the reasons why I hadn't seen it. Well, I saw it, and as the biggest Springsteen fan that you know, hold on. There we go. As the biggest Springsteen fan you know, I'll be giving you my review. I finally saw Deliver Me From Nowhere, the Bruce Springsteen movie. So we'll have that at the end of the show today, plus a whole bunch more. Amy says, Jeremy Allen White has a weak chin. Bruce has kind of an underbite, completely different facial features. Jeremy Allen White. Yes, I agree with you, Amy. Jeremy Allen White does not look anything like Bruce Springsteen. I mean, Jeremy Allen White is someone that women find very attractive. And once again, I'll go to my Pete Davidson thing. I don't get it. The dude kind of looks like Gene Wilder. I mean, he's got a big nose. He's got big eyes. I mean, I think that's kind of what women are attracted to. I think that if they saw him pumping gas, they wouldn't look twice at him. But because he's such a tremendous young actor and he has these real empathetic kind of features, I think that ain't Bruce, though. Bruce is ruggedly all-American handsome. Bruce is a handsome guy. I mean, no matter what you say about it, he's a handsome guy. He looks like a rock star. He's got, he's cool. He looks cool. Jeremy Allen White doesn't look cool. Jeremy Allen White looks like a guy who spends a lot of time in his room. He just does. I guess that's, but I agree with you. That was really the reason that I didn't see it. Adam says Jeremy Allen White is also like 5'2". Yeah, but I don't think Bruce is that tall. I don't think Bruce is a big guy. I think Bruce is like 5'9", 5'10", something like that. And you know what? Isn't that interesting? I don't know how, to me, he's a giant. Like Bruce Springsteen to me is 6'7". But I don't know how tall he is. How tall is Bruce Springsteen? I would say 5'10". 5'10". There we go. Bruce is 5'10". All right, he's a normal-sized man. Corey Stevens is here. Corey says, I'm sorry, but Springsteen is way, way overrated. Well, that is an opinion that you hold, Corey. And I would say it's a reflection of your lack of depth. All right, there we go. Amy says, not two Bruces. Well, neither are my type. She doesn't think Bruce is hot either. Well, I do. And he's not my type either because I'm not gay. But I am enough of a guy to be able to size up other guys and know who the competition is. Doesn't make me gay. It makes me, all right, if he's hitting on her, I'll probably avoid. Where's her friend? I'll talk to her friend. My handsome guy friend is talking to the pretty one that I want. All right. Damn right he does. I love this. Thank you, Adam. Having seen Springsteen perform, he plays much taller than 5'10". He sure does. For 4 hours, he plays much. I'll give you Christmas songs in July, too, if you want it. All right, so I'll give you that whole thing because it was a very, man, it's one of those things where I'm looking at the movie last night and I'm like, at some point, I got to see this. Do I want to watch it tonight? Well, I did. So we'll give you that review at the end of the show. Let's see here. Byron says, I'm convinced that you have to have been exposed to tap water in the Northeast like Bruce. No, really. You just have to be an American who grew up in a working class environment who understands that the fucking rich are taking every opportunity to fuck you over. That's all you really need to know to appreciate Bruce Springsteen, because every fucking one of his songs is about how we're getting screwed, man. Let's fucking take it back. And then the idiots, they hear Born in the USA and they totally misinterpret the song. By the way, that isn't I'll get to it. I'll get to it when we talk about the review of the film, because again, it's a big moment for me watching the movie last night. Hell, if you've been listening to my reviews, half of my reviews, I don't get past 45 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I watched 45 minutes. It sucks, so I bailed. I would not do well being introduced to the works of M. Night Shyamalan in 2025, because his movies, they always suck until the very end. I would have never gotten to them the way I watch movies now. All right. Something else I did that I want to mention. Excuse me. So we all know this show runs on your tips, and it runs on your tips because the growth has been stagnant here on this show. We do the show every single day at around about noon since 2021. We took a little bit of a break. Hi, Jen. Jennifer's in the chat room. Bill Folk spent $20 to watch it on Prime. Fell asleep watching it. I could see how that could happen. My review is coming. Where was I? The show runs on your gratuities and your tips. And to that end, we do have an executive producer every day. And today we do have an executive producer. And I'm so happy to have an executive producer because I thought I was going to walk in today and say, nobody tipped the show yesterday. But instead, we've got an executive producer. Thank you so much, Barney. Barney's always showing support. Do you? Thank you, Barney. And again, it's not about, I understand. Look, we're in this economy. And we're just out of Christmas and everybody blew their whole wad and now nobody's got nothing. So it's hard to support a show in January. I get that. Just got to muscle through this month. But if you can't tip with, either Venmo or the Cash App, I need you guys to share the show. I need you guys that when you see it, the thing that you clicked on that brought you to this show, you can probably share that on whether Facebook or whatever. I need you to like the show. Every time you see it, I need you to hit like on it, please. This is literally the least you can do to support this show. Those things will accumulatively, they will help just as much as you being able to drop $5, $10, $20 in the Cash App. Thank you, or the Venmo. So please do that. Please do that if you can. It's how we grow. Now, I want to tell you about something that I did today. And I don't feel real great about it. But I'm probably going to have to start doing it more. And it's because of the 2026 plans that we have for this show. Moving it up here and expanding it and trying to grow into a new audience. I told you all that I am going to be leaving Twitter. That's kind of a lie. I'm not leaving Twitter for Blue Sky. I'm going to be utilizing Blue Sky a lot more. I will still have a presence on Twitter because fortunately or unfortunately, it is a good platform to promote things. We haven't really benefited from it, but I don't see how we gain any traction from just jumping off another platform. So I will still be posting things on Twitter. But most of my hangout tweets and all that kind of stuff are going to be over on Blue Sky. So, I did something today on Blue Sky while promoting this show that I haven't done anywhere else ever before. Because if you remember, the origin of the show was to be non-political. But the origin of the show was also to be about hot topics and current events. So trying to make those two things come together has been really difficult. And we end up talking politics because politics is everywhere. I make no bones about it. I fucking hate Donald Trump. I think that he's a con man. I think that we have a gangster in the White House. But I also believe in democracy, and we ran some elections, and people voted for him, so we got what we got, and we just got to make it through. But I'm also not a left-leaning liberal weirdo. I lean left on a lot of things. As a matter of fact, I would say that socially speaking, as far as it comes to libertarian values and leave people the fuck alone, I am very left. Very left. Let people make their own mistakes. Let people make their own decisions. Let people live their own lives. God love you. But on Blue Sky today, I promoted this show as being anti-MAGA. First time ever. First time I've ever gone there. And I need y'all to know, especially my longtime people. You people know that I'm anti-MAGA. But I need y'all to know that it's not really a shift in the show, but Blue Sky is a different collection of people. And we're trying to grow the show. We're trying to attract people to listen to moderate, middle-of-the-road conversation about the world. We're trying to get people here to stop going to shit that's going to spoon-feed them everything they want to hear. And that's what right-wing talk radio on the radio has been doing. You have to promote right-wing values at WBAP. You have to. They will not allow you to come in and be yourself. You have to be a robot that is going to read the morning wire, the little email that they get, because that is a real thing. I'm on the fucking, I'm not anymore. I don't get them anymore. But when you work in radio and you work in conservative talk radio, you wake up every morning to an email of all the things they need you to talk about. It's why if you're driving through, Alabama, you can hear 4 different talk show hosts on the AM dial as you move through the state and move into different radio signals. You can hear the 4 talk show hosts talking about the same damn thing with the same fucking opinion, just presented in different ways because they're different people. That's bullshit. That is not how we have discourse. That's propaganda. So this show has always kind of been, look, I'm no newbie to talk radio. I've been in talk radio in major markets in America since 1992. I know what I'm doing here. But I will never just fucking repeat something that I get in an email. And that's what's required of you if you want to work, if you want to make a paycheck in American talk radio. So this show was created to be something different than that. This show was created to be an artistic endeavor to just get discourse back into some form of normalcy in this country, where people of different opinions can get together in our chat room every day and just talk about shit and not fucking go away with, wow, that person should be thrown in jail. The hell is wrong with us? So over on Blue Sky today, in an attempt to maybe get a couple of new people to check out what we do here every day, I did describe the show as anti-MAGA, and it's not a lie. The show is anti-MAGA. I fucking hate these people. I'm not delusional about it, right? I mean, we got to work with them, but I'm not going to carry water for anybody. I think from the very beginning, I've talked about how this show is going to be run unlike any other of the streams that you show. This show will go down in flames based on the principles and the authenticity of the host. That's it. Now, if the Kremlin wants to give me some money to be authentic, I will cash those checks happily, but those calls aren't coming. So I just wanted to get it out there to you people in the chat room, and it's why I waited for the chat room, because I want you to know that over on Blue Sky, I am promoting this show now as anti-MAGA, because that's all there are over there, are people like me who fucking hate MAGA, who think that this is the worst thing that has ever happened to this country. That Donald Trump isn't even the most evil part of it. He's the stooge. He's Johnny Bravo. He fit the suit. He is being manipulated and run by other people. And I think normal folk, who I'm trying to attract here to this show, can see it. But then there's other people who, hey man, Jim Jones had thousands of followers who drank the Kool-Aid. It ain't easy, or it ain't difficult to convince the fucking worst people among us and the stupidest people among us and the most hateful people among us to follow some buffoon standing up there going, you're fired, you're fired. We're going to get rid of all the people that are stopping you from getting good jobs, picking fruit. All of this bullshit. So this show has always been that. But also, I ain't carrying water for the fucking liberal left either. These people. I mean, I hope that I have shown and demonstrated that, there are no good choices. And I am always on the lookout for good choices. I am always on the lookout for new people that we need to be attentive to. Hey, this guy, he's out of there. He's out of Louisiana. He's a lieutenant governor. He's good. I don't see any of these people anyway. I don't see anybody. I don't see anybody on the right or the left. The machine that has been created on the left is just garbage. They're just pumping out, one guy after another that is just absolutely garbage, that has drank the Kool-Aid. I would say it's on the Democrats to start putting forward some fucking Jimmy Stewart, Mr. Smith types, but I don't see that happening either. So we're screwed. And that's kind of the position that I, as host of this show, am taking right now. It's not a political show. It's a show for normal Americans, normal middle-class, working-class Americans who are fucking sick of this shit. All right, and with that, we'll get the show started. Once again, thank you to Barney for being our executive producer on today's show. All right, all right, Adam. Corey. All right, here's what we need. Look at this. Hold on. What can I do to make Corey happy? Corey is new. Has he already bailed out? I don't know. If Corey is politically radicalized, he's probably already bailed out. Corey says, where is he? Corey Stevens says, I'm going to give you a chance. Loved you guys back in the day. Well, one day, you're not going to like it one day. I'll tell you, I'm an acquired taste, Corey. I remember when we first got to Dallas, Kelly and I, we told them, I said to him, I go, don't expect anything for the first book. For people are going to absolutely hate us here in Dallas. But if the people who are habitually listening to this station don't turn off for the first, 2-3 weeks, you'll start to get who we are. And I was talking about me and Kelly. They'll start to get it, and they'll realize that we're not jerk-offs at all, that we're actually kind of fun, and we're nice people. And that's what happened, and that's why we were successful there for 9 years. But in the beginning, oh my God. So Corey, that's a lot of pressure for me. A lot of pressure. Oh, would you stop it with the chat room? Adam and Byron, I would ask you now, as your friend in the middle, stop it. Stop with the calling each other pedophiles in the chat room. We don't like that. Anyway, Corey, I hope you can stick around. I hope you give it more than one day, because I'm telling you, the show changes every day. But welcome, Corey. We love it. I love seeing new people. All right, Corey's already gone. He is. So that's all right. That's all right. We are used to it. All right, so let's get started with today's show. We'll tell you about what we're going to get into. What is the first thing that we're going to do here? Let's talk about what's happening in Colombia, in Venezuela, on the streets of Caracas. Remember, the bullshit that's out there is that they're throwing street parties in Caracas because they love us so much. That's bullshit. That ain't what's happening. A bunch of right-wing weirdos on the Twitter, which is the reason why I'm getting off Twitter. I can't take this shit anymore. Yesterday, I told you about one of them that was circulating, and it got like 2 million. It's going everywhere. He's like, look, they're celebrating in the streets of Caracas. And it was Miami. It was Venezuelan exiles in Miami. And of course they're excited. They're thinking they can go back now. They were people who were exiled because they didn't dig the Maduro regime. So that's why they're celebrating Miami. What's going on in Caracas is much different. Okay. There is a power vacuum that has been created here. I know the president of the United States and the secretary of fucking mayhem got up there and they said, we are in control now. But the fact of the matter is that there is a vice president who is now ascended to the presidency, who isn't, at least publicly, and we don't know. We don't know what the difference is between private conversations and what they're doing publicly, right? We don't know. She might be on the phone with the Trump administration going, whatever you need, we'll do whatever. And then going on fucking Twitter and going, Maduro was kidnapped and we will not stand for this invasion by imperial force. She does that publicly. And then on the phone, it's like, yes, Mr. President, yes, whatever. We don't know. We don't know. And there's no way for us to know because we have no institutions to trust anymore. So we've got the word of the president, and then we've got her going on Instagram. We have no idea right now about the relationship between the United States, who I don't know that we call it an invading force, right? We didn't put boots on the ground. There aren't U.S. tanks in, Caracas Square or whatever the fuck they got there. It's just we went in, we got the guy, we snatched him, we blew up some shit, and turned out all the power. Apparently there's no power. It's got big power problems there in Caracas. We blew up some things, and they haven't fixed it yet because I guess nobody knows who's paying anybody. But the problem that has emerged in Caracas in the hours and days following the invasion of Saturday, was it Saturday night? I think it was Saturday night, is that collectivos have taken over the city proper. I'm not talking about the guy who sits in the mayor's chair and goes, I'm in control now. I'm talking about the people who let you buy bread or not at your corner store. You know how that works. Once these things happen, everything gets constricted, and all of a sudden there is no federal government, but there is a toughest dude in your neighborhood, and he's calling the fucking shots. And that's what's going on right now. We've got these collectivos going on. Gangs of armed men, many part of pro-Maduro militias known as collectivos, scoured vehicles at hastily erected checkpoints throughout the city following a government directive to root out Venezuelans who are in support of the U.S.'s brazen capture of Nicolas Maduro. So apparently Maduro, and this is quite common among the dictator class, you spend an awful lot of your ill-gotten monies on local gangbangers. You make sure that the communities, the neighborhoods are run, and you pay these people. And now here we have Maduro gone, and you have all of these gangs, these collectivos, which were on his payroll. All of a sudden, they see the end of their gravy train, and they are taking control. They are now, I mean, this is how civil wars begin. This is how some guy who was, a gang leader becomes president of, the largest oil reserve in the world. This is how these things happen. So we got to be very careful about what's going on there, because Venezuela could very easily become El Salvador of the late 70s and early 80s. The El Salvador of that part of the world, which I suppose El Salvador is in that part of the world. Well, I'm separating Central America from South America. Hi, Frankie. Frankie's here. Frankie says hi. I say hi. Let's see here. Back into the chat room here we jump. Stop it with the pedos, man. Stop it with the pedo talk in the chat room. I hate that. We're not a big enough show to have this kind of shit going on in the chat room. We're not. If we had 5,000 listeners right now, I would expect plenty of pedophile talk in the chat room. But this percentage is not. This is not good. Let's see here. Billy's got a point. Billy says it's the rich Venezuelans in Miami are getting turned up. Yeah, and how are you a rich Venezuelan living in Miami? Well, you were probably a rich Venezuelan in Venezuela before Maduro nationalized the oil back in 2007. And a lot of the people who made money off the American oil companies there, when Maduro came in, they went, oh shit, whoop, 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 and they got out. Now, who can afford to just pick up everything, because a new president came in and moved to Miami? Well, that's the rich. So yeah, you are right. It is rich Venezuelans who benefited back when the oil companies were American. It's those people who are here in America, and they're celebrating, and they're rightfully celebrating. That's what they're about. Oh, God, okay. I don't need Byron making shots at April. All right, what else do we have here? A state of emergency decree has been published Monday. It sought to crack down on any public support for the U.S. operation in Caracas. It ordered police to immediately begin the national search and capture of everyone involved in the promotion or support for the armed attack by the United States. The paramilitary groups have also arrested 14 journalists and media workers. 11. Boy, that's 14. That's a lot. That's one of the things that usually gets everybody all up in arms. Journalists? How dare they? What is a journalist today? I don't know. I went to journalism school. I don't know what the fuck Nick Shirley is, but he ain't a journalist. Let's see here. The presence of colectivos, which are armed men who ride around on motorcycles and are used as an unofficial government arm of repression, suggests that Maduro loyalists are desperately attempting to maintain their grip on the country. All right, there you go. So we'll be watching for this. I mean, look, let me reestablish my position on this. You people who are all up in arms because Trump went in there and got Maduro, I think you're up in arms just simply because you hate Trump. I said yesterday, even a blind squirrel gets a nut every once in a while. And I heard this talked about yesterday on CNN, and it's absolutely true. I said it here yesterday as well. This is something Kamala Harris would have done. This is one of the things that Kamala Harris had stated that she was interested in doing, which was getting or enforcing the law against dictators. Certainly, she name-checked Maduro. So if you're a libtard and you're all angry at Trump for doing this, you need to fucking look at your own party, because this was a Democratic thing, which is a reason why hardcore MAGA ought to be against this. Nation building and intervention. This isn't America first. This is Trump doing shit the Democrats would have done. Why? Because he's desperate. Because the Epstein thing won't go away and he needs a distraction. Now, this distraction was convenient, but also worthy. This is something we should have done. You know me, I think that the list goes on. We shouldn't stop here. It looks like he's going to be, he's name checking a lot of places. a lot of places that are also convenient for our benefit. I like to think that the American military and our defense system and the promise that we made to the world after World War II that, yes, we will build up this defense and we will be the arbiter of decency and kindness in the world because American idealism is the best idealism in all the land. It fell on us. We had the moral high ground. We believed that we knew what was best, and we, the American people, bought into it. We bought into it to the point that we built up the world's most powerful military. We bought into the point where we've got the worst fucking schools for a wealthy fucking nation. Our kids are morons and our healthcare is garbage, but that's okay because we sacrificed those things to have a military that was going to go around the world and make sure that everybody minded their P's and Q's. By the way, fun fact, you know where P's and Q's come from? You know where that term comes from? I love that. This is what you get on this show. You get all over the place. P's and Q's stands for pints and quarts. Because back in like Victorian days, you could only buy beer and ale in pints and quarts. And if you had too many of them, you'd get drunk and embarrass yourself. So it was said, you better be minding your P's and Q's tonight. Your pints and quarts. Watch how much you drink. Don't get fucking drunk. That's what it means. All right. All this going on. The president spoke today. I don't know if you saw the president. He was, I don't know where he was. He was in front of a bunch of flags. He was fucking, just being the president. All of this stuff that's going on. And the president got up and he made a speech about it. So let's see what our president is saying about all of this stuff today. Here we go.
And once he gets in it, dropped the thing.
All right, there you go. That's our president today. That's what he's doing. Jesus fuck. I mean, my God, people. Can't he just be dignified? Can't we just have somebody who's got a little bit of elegance, a little bit of sophistication? You people are going to fuck around and elect Gavin Newsom. That's what's going to happen. Why? Because he's tall and handsome and he doesn't go like that. Fuck. We're in good hands, people. He's in control. All right, saber rattling. So let's spin the roulette wheel. Where are we going to go next? He's shouting out Cuba. Cuba. I'm all for that. Let's take Cuba. All right? Take Cuba. Cuba's good. If you want to do Cuba next, that's fine. Okay? I would like at some point for you to mix in some white people. Like, let's go get some Eastern European despots. We've got all kinds of shit going on there. Let's go get them. But no, probably not, because they're all friends with Putin. But so was Venezuela. But Venezuela was brown. So he does seem to like, he wants Africa. Remember, he already dropped some bombs in Nigeria. He's like, let's get the Africans next. It's just so on brand. It's what bothers me. It's so on brand. Cuba is in a state of national mourning for one more day. 32 Cuban special forces, and how special could they be? 32 Cuban special forces were apparently, according to the Cuban government, killed defending Maduro. I don't think we're acknowledging that. I think we in America are like, never happened. I don't know what happened. But the deal was because of the relationship between Maduro, Venezuelan oil, and Russia. The deal was that Russia forced Cuba on, Cuba's a proxy of Russia. Russia forced Cuba to basically just defend at all cost Maduro. And that didn't go so well on Saturday night. And Cuba is saying that 32 of their special forces were killed, a number of other injured. The United States, we don't acknowledge that. But Cuba, let's just go get Cuba. Can we do that? Couldn't we do that as easily as we did? And I honestly think that the Cuban people would be happy. They're so close to Miami. Why not? Cuba used to be awesome. Like, Cuba used to be what the Bahamas were, except closer. Cuba used to be a vassal of the United States. And then, the Cold War came and Castro rose to power and all that socialism stuff. And all of a sudden you got Russia on our doorstep. So for years, our relationship with Cuba has been fucked up. Russia can't really back them up anymore. We went after Venezuela. Russia was really the thing about going after Maduro that had been said for years before was that you're going to raise the ire of Russia. And, we don't want to do that. Russia's busy. Russia's busy with Ukraine. They can't even beat the Yukis, okay? So now's the time. Let's go get Cuba. Let's go get Cuba. I'm all for it. But then we got to go get Belarus, okay? We got it right there, right on Putin's doorstep. Let's go get that guy, see what happens. No, we won't do that. We won't do that. So Cuba's on the board. Mexico is on the board. Mexico, he's talking about arresting Scheinbaum. Yeah. Isn't that weird? Jewish ladies in charge of Mexico. Scheinbaum. That doesn't sound, Mexican to me, but whatever. Is it Gloria? Let's call her Blanche. Blanche Scheinbaum, who is the president of Mexico, which is, the country responsible for all of the bad shit that comes across our southern border. It does feel to me like, Mexico could probably do more on their end to stop all of this shit, and they're not. So that's definitely a legit reason to be angry at Scheinbaum. She's kind of hot, too. I'd date her. Could you imagine that? How cool would that be? Hey, everybody, this is my girlfriend, Blanche Scheinbaum, president of Mexico. Just grab a stool over there, baby. I'm going to go to the bathroom. How cool would that be? I'm like all of a sudden dating the president of Mexico. She's cute. I dig and admire countries that hire attractive women or elect attractive women. I don't know. All right, Maddie, I had no idea you were so bloodthirsty. It's not bloodthirsty. I've acquiesced to the American way. What do you want to do, Maddie? We've decided that we're going to have stupid kids and that people are going to die of medical bankruptcy. Yeah, that's the way you die. They're going to die bankrupt and, in a pool of their own shit. We decided that collectively. I mean, I know not you or me, but our parents and our grandparents did when they decided to fuck over the schools and fuck over the health system and fuck over everything else that would benefit the middle class and instead build $1 billion, multi-million-dollar airplanes and bombs to threaten other people with. We made that decision. The horse is out of the barn. We have all of this shit. And why do we have this shit? Because we convinced ourselves, Maddie, that we, the American way of life, democracy, liberty, all men are created equal. We convinced ourselves that that was the most important thing for the rest of the globe. And we were going to force that on people. We signed off on it. That's why we have the world's largest defense. That's why. So let's go. Let's actually go after the dictators. Let's actually take out all of these people who are running these fucking banana republics in all these third world countries. Let's go. That's what we're supposed to do. I'm a little suspect of this situation in Venezuela because it concerns the world's largest oil deposit, but hey, it's a start. It's a start. I'm not bloodthirsty. I'm not. But I do believe that we, the American way of doing things, with the exception of some obvious corruption within our American capitalist system, I believe that we and our Constitution and Thomas Jefferson put a lot of thought into what we're supposed to be. So let's do it. Let's actually be that. But we're not. We're not. We have dumb fucking kids. We have people dying broke, and we've got deserts in the Southwest that are just filled with airplanes and bombs and helicopters that we made, but we never used. So stupid kids, dead grandparents, and a fucking $5 million plane that has never taken flight because we don't need it, but we keep making it because we aren't educating kids. So let's use it, is what I'm saying. Maddie says, ha 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 ha. I love your position, even if it's utterly cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. All right, that's fair. That's fair. Reasonable people are able to disagree reasonably. That's what makes democracy so wonderful. All right. Here's another thing. Being a neocon today, we go all the way back to the Ukraine war. I'm consistent. I am consistent. People call me a hawk for years. I mean, if it's now, granted, my history is a little bit scattered. Why? Because everything is not a template. Remember, I was against the Iraq war, weapons of mass. I thought that was bullshit. We didn't need to go in there. Nobody needed to die there. Afghanistan and Saudi Arabia was where we needed to go. I was all for going into Saudi Arabia, but apparently they're our friends. I mean, let's talk about MBS. MBS is sitting on a whole lot of oil, and he's one of the biggest assholes on the planet. So, Mikey D is here. Hi, Mikey D. I'm not a neocon. I'm actually a liberal moderate. I have 90% of elections I have voted Democrat, I would say. I voted for a few Republicans. But no, I mean, I'm not a right-wing hawk. What I am is an American who kind of wants to stay consistent with what I thought we were supposed to be to the world. We're not the world's police force. Yeah, we fucking are. What are you talking about? Yes, we are. We are the world's police force. We signed up for that years ago. Just saying it like it's a horrible thing doesn't make it go away. We are the world's police force. We watched it being enforced on Saturday night, so that's who we are. If we're going to change that, that's great. I'd expect a big speech in front of the entirety of Congress where he says, our defense budget, we're putting it into schools. But we're not doing that because we got the lady wrestler in charge of our schools. And the lady wrestler is going to dismantle the Board of Education, which is probably a good thing. I don't know about a complete dismantling. My thoughts on that are a little bit convoluted at the moment, but I do absolutely think there needs to be major changes in the American public school system. Adam says, so a country isn't doing the things the way they should be done. We don't go take them over. We support those who are trying to help. Are you talking about regime change? Are you talking about the stuff that we did in Central America? Are you talking about Sandinistas? Are you talking about the communist influence during the Cold War in South and Central America? Are you talking about Southeast Asia? Are you talking about, because we have done this, we do this, and being uncomfortable with it is certainly natural, but it is what we do. It's what we've always done. Yes. To answer your question, if a country isn't doing things the right way, the United States of America a long time ago decided that we were going to fix that. We don't actually fix it. We just say that that's what we're here for, and that's why we're spending all this money, and that's why a junior vice president at General Dynamics just bought his yacht. Because our tax dollars go to that shit. Things that are promised we're going to do, but we never do. Big call from Dallas, Texas just came in, but I don't know the number, so they can they can go kick rocks. Adam, obviously we did fucked up shit in the past, no duh. Doesn't mean we need to keep doing it. Well, I mean, we're going to keep doing fucked up shit because, the world isn't simple and the world isn't we'd want it to be. People are wild cards. We do fucked up shit. Everybody does fucked up shit. But what is the reason we do fucked? I don't know. I don't want to get into this. We do fucked up shit. Okay, but let's try and be better. Let's try and be good. Moving on. All right, let's go. We're spinning the wheel. So we've got Mexico and we've got Cuba in the crosshairs. I want Belarus. I want MBS, but we've got Cuba. We're cleaning up our own backyard, which is, I guess a thing. It's what we're doing now. It's what we're doing in 2026. Cuba, I say let's go. Mexico, I say no. I don't want to fuck with Mexico. I want to let the Jewish lady try and figure things out. She's only been there a short period of time. She seems nice. Let's give Mexico a break. I don't want to fuck with Mexico. I don't want to fuck with Canada. They are our neighbors. They should be our partners. They shouldn't be people that we're adversarial towards. So let's move on from that. Cuba, however, casinos. Let's put the casinos back in Cuba. I'd like to go to Cuba. Colombia, Gustavo Perez, the president of Colombia, yesterday got up in front of everybody and said, Trump, you're a pedophile. Come on, you little band of pedophiles. Come get me, bitch. That's basically what Gustavo, the Colombian president, said today. Trump talked about him today. Trump was like, we're coming for you. I'm like, oh man, we're going into Colombia next. And I know we're going into Colombia next because Trump talked about all the cocaine that comes from Colombia, which is something that we didn't hear about before Venezuela. No, Venezuela was cocaine, right? Even though we all know it's Colombia and less than 1% of the American cocaine comes from Venezuela. But that was it. Fentanyl in Venezuela. No fentanyl comes from Venezuela. They don't make it there. It doesn't get processed through there. It's made in China, in Southeast Asia, and it comes into this country through Mexico. So, the cocaine and the fentanyl was not the reason that we went into Venezuela, but it is the reason that they told you people to justify it. So good. Whether you took it or not, it's up to you. The reason we went into Venezuela was the oil. Now, there is no real great oil deposits that I'm aware of in Colombia. What Colombia has is some of the world's finest cocaine. Cocaine is a legitimate problem. We should have taken over, if cocaine with the war on drugs and all that shit, we should have taken over Colombia 30 years ago, but we didn't because it was all lip service. If you really want to stop the cocaine problem, you've got to reorganize the government of Colombia because those people have been on the payroll of the cartels for 50 years. That's just the fact. And Gustavo is there. Now he's talking shit because he's seen Trump go into the next country. He should keep his mouth shut because he's the cocaine kingpin of South America. He's running his mouth. And now Trump is acknowledging today, they got all the cocaine. We really need to stop the problem. To which I would say this, cocaine is not the problem, okay? Cocaine is not the problem. Cocaine laced with fentanyl is the problem. Fentanyl is added to cocaine so that you can step on it and look, back in my day, it was baby laxative. You cut cocaine with baby, well, not that I ever did it, but it's why you would go out and you'd party and, all that. And then the next day you'd have the shits because it was baby laxative. It didn't kill you. It could just ruin your life, as I found out after trying cocaine a couple of times. I'm like, yeah, no, this is too good. This is not something I need in my life. I don't need that. But I can be objective about it. It was like a really good feeling. And I got why people like Chris Farley and all that. I understand why you want that feeling to never go away, but you got to walk away from it, people. You got to walk away from it. You got to go, I've tried it. It's really good. And I don't need it anymore. You know what else I've tried that's really good? Lobster. I don't get lobster every day. I don't. So. But cocaine is if we were really good cocaine, stuff that comes from Colombia is really not a problem in this country. It's not. What's a problem in this country are when you take cocaine and you try and sell it to poor people and minorities and you start stepping on it. You think the cocaine Don Jr. is getting has any fentanyl in it? No, it's pure Colombian because rich people can afford the good stuff. Really, it's just us. It's the middle class lover of cocaine who is dying. That's what's happening. So it's not even Colombia. I mean, that's like aftermarket. The cocaine that's good. Then they add the fentanyl to it. And they probably do that in Mexico or at the street level here in America. I don't know. But anyway, okay. So we've got Colombia on the wheel. Gustavo Perez is talking shit. And Trump don't like that. Trump don't like some South American president, like you're a pedophile. He doesn't like that. So I don't know what's going on there. But I would think that Colombia might be in the crosshairs first. Cuba seems like the easy one. Colombia seems like it's in the crosshairs. Now, the interesting one that's on the who we're invading next wheel is Greenland. Ladies and gentlemen, Greenland is back in the conversation. It's because of the movie, right? Is that it? There's like Greenland Part 2. There's a movie. Oh, I gotta get rid of that. Adam got a cocaine thing. Come on. Cocaine is responsible for so many great movies in the 70s and conversely, so many bad movies in the 80s. Yeah, that's good cocaine. That's good cocaine. The good cocaine is no longer around, at least not at our level. You got to go party at Mar-a-Lago and find yourself in a bathroom at the right time to get the good cocaine. And that's probably what this is all about. This is like, let's take cocaine. Let's take Colombia. Let's take over the cocaine production. And then just, Don Jr. will suddenly become the world's largest cocaine kingpin. Because that dude does cocaine. Anybody who's ever done drugs knows somebody who's on cocaine. That dude was on cocaine so much. He goes on. I don't know that we've seen it anymore, but maybe somebody talked to him. But years ago, man, that dude was fucking going on TV all railed out of his mind. And it was so obvious, except for MAGA, because they don't see it or they don't know. They only know what meth looks like. They only know what meth and crack and all the shit drugs look like. They can't identify Don Jr. after doing 4 rails of premium Colombian cocaine. Other people can, though. Greenland. Let's talk about Greenland. Again, I think it's because of the movie. I think there's the movie Greenland with what's his name? Dirk Gerard. I don't know. He's like the English guy. He's one of these, like, he's not a Hugh Jackman. He's not a Gerard Butler. That's who it is. He's like one of these guys, these middle guys. He's not like A-list, but he's also not D-list. Isn't that him, Gerard Butler? He's got this movie, Greenland. I don't know what it's about, but there's a Greenland too that's being promoted everywhere. And I think that's why Trump is like, we should take Greenland. They're making movies about it. Anyway, we've got the Danish ambassador to the UN yesterday taking the floor.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Robin Kelly.
Oh.
I believe that healthcare is a human right,
Hold on.
not a privilege for the wealthy few. A cancer diagnosis should.
All right, why won't this fucking ad skip?
I've taken on Big Pharma.
Seriously.
In Congress,
Hold on, guys.
I successfully capped the price of insulin and lowered
Skip
prescription
ad.
drug
Skip ad.
costs.
Skip ad. Skip
But that
ad.
isn't enough. It's still too
Not
expensive
fucking
to be
working.
sick in this country.
Why can't I skip
To make
this
matters
fucking
worse,
ad?
President Trump's law gutted Medicaid by nearly $1 trillion. In Congress, I'm fighting for.
Here's what's happening. I'm trying to play a video and the ad popped up and it says skip ad, but it won't let me skip the ad. So apparently now I got to watch a fucking political video. Here we go. All right, let's watch this. Cute. We're going to hear from Christina Marcus Lassen. She is the Danish ambassador to the UN. She is cute. She's also somebody that I think would be cool to show up at, like Bottle Rockets on a Thursday night for trivia. This is my girlfriend, the Danish ambassador. That would be awesome. She's cute. Here she goes. All right. Greenland is run by Denmark. It's Denmark. I worked it through. I was like, Denmark? No, Denmark. Greenland is run by Denmark. Trump wants Greenland. I don't know why, but strategic. Anyway, yesterday at the UN, here's the Danish ambassador.
Denmark recalls the foundational principle of international law that forbids states from threatening or using force against another state's territorial integrity and political independence. This imperative is enshrined in Article 2, Paragraph 4 of the UN Charter. Members of the UN Security Council have a special responsibility to uphold these principles. The principles of sovereignty, political independence, and territorial integrity must be respected. The inviolability of borders is not up for negotiation. These are universal, sacrosanct principles enshrined in international law. They apply everywhere.
And I have to tell you directly and personally.
Who's this
that I
guy?
regret.
All right, there you go. That's the Danish ambassador. Maddie says, and the prime minister of Denmark says if the U.S. fucks with Greenland, it's the end of NATO. Yeah, I heard that too. And, look, NATO's coming to an end. How does that work? How does that work? Like, so NATO is like a collection of bases and military thingamajobs, whatever. That here's my point. If NATO ends, it's not like a whole bunch of American pilots are going to go over there, get in all the equipment and fly it all back to America. That's their shit. So if we're not a part of NATO, NATO's a pretty big defensive weapon there. If we drop out of that, it's not like we take back all that shit. They're going to be like, yeah, no. I mean, it's like, no. They'll just replace any American generals that are there. A French general will come in and go, yeah, this is not your base anymore. And that guy will leave because, again, they're in their country at that moment. If NATO goes away, If NATO goes away, I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I have no idea. So much of our defense budget, so much of our taxpayer dollars go to planes and tanks that are in Luxembourg. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what that means, the end of NATO. Hopefully Trump does, although I imagine he doesn't. He just... I mean, one of the reasons that we are as powerful as we are is because of NATO, because it's not just America. It's America and the combined forces of countries like Germany and the United Kingdom and France and Spain and all of these other places. That's a pretty sizable military in their own right. And, oh yeah, we, the American citizens, have been paying for it for years. So end NATO? I mean, we're just going to walk away? We still got stupid kids and dead grandparents, and all of a sudden now we're going to walk away from... I don't know how that works. I don't know how that works. They're not going to turn everything over. Fucking missile silos and all. They're not going to... That's not ours. It's not going to work that way. I am very concerned about the relationship between the current administration in Washington and Europe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I didn't know what to make of it when we started to fucking fuck with Canada, right? I was like, what is this about? And Europe, I don't know. Greenland. So he wants Greenland. For what reason? I don't know. Denmark's in NATO. He says it's a big strategic location. So let NATO use it as a strategic location. What are we going to make Greenland a fucking state? There's nobody there. You know, the great trick was that Iceland is the cool place and Greenland is the shitty place. They wanted voyagers and travelers to see on a map a place called Iceland and avoid it because the people that were there were like, this place is fucking great. Greenland, they named Greenland so that, you know, other Viking explorers and shit would go there expecting good places to eat. You know, things can grow. It's green. It's green. No. So why do we want Greenland? Does Trump not know that? Does he not know that Iceland is the actual prize? I guess Greenland is bigger. Huge. I don't know what's going on. I know this. I want Cuba before we get Greenland. Okay? If we're just snatching things, god damn, how long is this going to take? Seriously, is this going to go on for the next couple of years? Are we just going to be snatching things? Anyway, there you go. That's the wheel of roulette. Who we're going to invade next? We got Cuba, Mexico, Colombia, and Greenland in the hopper. Heard no mention of Saudi Arabia. Those people over there, Saudi Arabians and the Qatar, they're giving him like jumbo jets and shit, and so he's good with them. Those oppressive dictators, they're fine. And I guess you can't really make a claim that drugs are coming from Saudi Arabia because they don't really do drugs there. All right. Let's move on to Dan Bongino, the former assistant director of the FBI. He spent a whole 9 months in that job before he flamed out because he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's a fucking cop who became a Secret Service guy who then, ended up going on TV and people were like, hey, I like that black guy who hates Obama. And then he got elevated, right? And then he's like, all of a sudden he's like, I'm not a black guy, I'm Italian. I'm like, okay. He's one of those. He's a Mike Tirico. He's a self-loathing black guy who doesn't want to identify at all as being black. I'm Italian. You were adopted, dude. Hey, let's get you to sit down with that old Harvard professor and let's do your genealogy, Dan Bongino. You and Mike Tirico. We'll do a twofer. We'll find out exactly. You, Mike Tirico, and Babe Ruth. The three of you. Let's see. Let's see what the genealogy turns up. All right, so Bongino, he's going back into media. Of course he is, because, that's where the big money is for a fucking con man grifter like him. Anyway, his new grift, I'll have you know. Oh, and I love this. This is just, he's good at it. Credit where credit is due. Bongino's good at it because he has no shame. And he doesn't, remember, he's the guy who spent 4 years on the radio talking about how the corrupt FBI and Justice Department is protecting pedophiles and the Epstein list and this and that. And then he became assistant director of the FBI and he redacted 90% of the Epstein list. So he's full of shit. But that doesn't matter because his audience is really stupid, like the stupidest of the stupid. So when he comes back and starts going, blah, 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 they're going to line up to listen. I wish the people who like this show were stupid. I really do. There'd be so many more of you. But instead, you're fairly thoughtful and smart people. Some of you are assholes, but, I like assholes. I'm an asshole. Others of you are great. All right, so what is he doing? Here's what he did, okay? His new grift, you ready for this? Is recognizing his past grift, right? Has become too obvious. So now Bongino's new grift is to call out the MAGA grifters. The call is coming from inside the house. That's his new grift. Dan Bongino is now going to dedicate himself to taking MAGA back to the... He's going to take MAGA back from the racists and the bigots and the far-right war hawk weirdos, and he's going to hand MAGA back to the asshole class. Just the straight-up asshole class. He's like, I'm an asshole, but I'm not a racist asshole. Well, because you're black. Maybe that has something to do with it. But, so here's what he says. Dan Bongino. By the way, he has no deal yet unless he made a deal today, but it doesn't look like the radio companies, which really in this age is 3 companies. You got your Odyssey, you got your Cumulus, and then you got your iHeart. You've got little wings in there like Westwood One. They do a lot of syndication. I believe that's who he was with before. I don't know that they're lining up. I think he might just end up with a YouTube channel, but we'll see. It'll be a highly successful YouTube channel because, as I said, he appeals to the stupidest among us, and that's who his listeners are. Again, the guy who told you for 4 years that, they're lying to us about Epstein and then became the guy who in turn lied to us about Epstein. And that's who he is. So be sure and line up. Unlike this show, principles and authenticity are nowhere near the top of his fucking order of business. Dan Bongino, the recently retired deputy director of the FBI, announced his return to the MAGA media world on Monday and declared war on the groups of black pillars, life losers, grifters, and bums that he claimed are trying to hijack the MAGA movement. A couple of things need to be explained. Black pillars. So black pillars is a term, I guess, that is used now within MAGA circles. Black pillars are Nick Fuentes. Black pillars are, a pillar is something that holds up a tent or holds up a roof. A pillar is something that is foundational. So he is saying black meaning not color of skin, but black as in dark, as in evil. So he is saying that there is an outsourced group of evil foundational pieces within MAGA that he is now going to dedicate himself to removing from the, well, he believes that he's one of the founders of MAGA, which maybe he is. I don't know. Let's read more. Black pillars. He is looking to get rid of. Bongino had said on multiple occasions that his job at the FBI was making him miserable. And he officially announced he would be leaving his role last year. He posted to mark his return to the media world, writing, "Good to see you all. I've missed you. Thanks for everything while we worked on cleaning up." Yeah, good job, dickhead. Working in the administration was the experience of a lifetime. I'll have some announcements coming up, but I'm taking a couple of days to spend with the family, he added. Yeah, the offers aren't coming, huh? They're not lining up to sign you to another huge deal. A couple of things, he goes on to say. Thank you for your interest in my show and its return date. We'll have something for you soon as somebody offers. The Trump team is not kidding around, he says. It's an otherworldly experience from the other side. He, Trump, is determined and focused, and having been around quite a few presidents, this one broke the mold. Tickle the balls, Bonji. Tickle the balls. If we blocked you, it's because we care so little about your bullshit. that we deem it not worthy of even seeing. A good attitude from the deputy director of the FBI. That's the kind of investigative, curiosity that we want in people who are tasked with uncovering the truth for us. Thank you. If we blocked you, it's because we care so little. But you've made it clear you care very little about a great portion of the American citizenry. If you're bitching and whining about it, that means you can't exist without seeing and commenting on ours. He's just admitting he's a troll. You'll need to get over that. We do it because there's nothing black pillars and anti-Trumpers want more than to create division and drama. Okay, first of all, the black pillars, the Nick Fuentes and all of those people, that was a big part of, you getting reelected. So I don't know if the black pillars are anti-Trump. Some of them are. Some of them turned on him for like crazy reasons, like Nick Fuentes, but he's nuts anyway. If you're bitching and whining about it, that means that you can't exist without seeing and commenting on our posts. You'll need to get over that. We do it because there's nothing black pillars and anti-Trumpers want more than to create division and drama. We're about results, and we'll talk about some of it soon. Bongino followed that message up with a more direct attack on black pillars. The Wiktionary defines a black pillar as, a person that has adopted a nihilistic and often far-right philosophy, especially an incel who believes men's dating success is determined purely by their physical appearance. Far-right podcasters like Nick Fuentes would be a prime example of the influencers Bongino appears to be referring. Let's just take a little bit of a step back and look at these two. Bongino is a black guy who's pretending to be white, and Nick Fuentes is a Mexican kid pretending to be white. This world is so topsy-turvy. Andrew Tate is another example of who Bongino seems to be. Dan Bongino, the guy who's like fucking just spends 10 hours a day in a tanning bed. Either that or you're black. Which is it? Are you a black guy or are you in a tanning bed? Dan Bongino, who wears the tight black t-shirts, because he gets his good pump on. He's probably got curls underneath, where he streams so that when he's not on camera, he can just get that pump going. The most vain and bullshit alpha nonsense dude in MAGA is now saying that the Andrew Tate class needs to take a step back. I'm not against any of this. I'm mocking it because I doubt the sincerity. This is his new grift. His new grift this time around is going to be going to war internally with MAGA that he deems to be black pillars, which is fine. This is what happens when there is your party in power. This happens all the time. When Clinton was president in the 90s, AM talk radio boomed. AM conservative talk radio boomed under Rush Limbaugh in the 1990s because for 8 years, Bill Clinton was the president. And talk radio or conservative radio thrives when the guy in charge is of the other party. It's easier to get listeners when you can bitch and moan about the guy in Prague. When a Republican comes in, you see a marked drop-off in talk radio. So Bongino, with a lack of an enemy this time, because he's got Trump in the White House, he can't rail against Biden like he did for 4 years. He can't do that. So, and there isn't really anyone now in the Democratic Party who's a great target, right? Maybe you can't keep fucking dragging Hillary up, right? You can't, who's the target in the Democrat? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's not nearly a big enough target for them to waste all this time on. So now they're turning on themselves. This is what happens. This is what has happened in a greater view of America. We've turned on one another as American citizens because we don't have the Cold War anymore. We don't have the obvious fear of, the Russians dropping missiles on us. We're even past the whole Middle Eastern terror thing, which got us through a couple of years there in the 2000s. We had them that we could all unite behind. We all hate them. We are all together against them. We haven't had a well-defined enemy in this country for years. So what happens is we turn on each other. We have it too good. Human nature is to fucking be dicks, at least for a lot of human beings. There's a lot of asshole human beings, and their whole driving thing in their life is to just be a dick and cause problems. And if there isn't somebody over there that they can cause problems for, they're going to turn that internally, and that's where we are. Now, in an even more condensed view of that within MAGA, that's what we have. Because there are no Democrats that have stepped up that you need to knock down. There just aren't. There is nobody viable. Gavin Newsom, J.B. Pritzker, are you kidding me? These guys aren't household names. Not yet. They might be. But yeah, so the call is coming from inside the house. Bongino is going to go after what he calls MAGA grifters. Yeah, the guy who sold fucking COVID cure pills and gold. The guy who sold that shit is now calling out other grifters. By the way, that's a big thing on AM radio. They sell gold. Hi, I'm Glenn Beck. You want to buy some gold? Let me tell you something about the gold sales. I had a friend who was in the gold sales business. They target the stupid. They target the stupid and the fearful. And as long as you say stupid and as long as you stay afraid of everything, you're going to think the world is going to devolve to the point where you're going to need a treasure chest in your backyard filled with gold bars. That's who they're targeting with those commercials. So think about it. When you're listening to AM radio and they give you one of those buy gold commercials, just understand that the strategy behind it is if you're triggered by it, you're fucking stupid and they got you. So go ahead, keep buying gold and reverse mortgages. And buy that auto thing where, you know, if you need extended warranty, you know, Ice Cube sells it during daytime TV. So go ahead, spend all that money on an extended warranty and then find out exactly what it does and does not cover. Don't be stupid. The stupid people are the target of just about all of these grifts, okay? Bongino is understanding that. And now Bongino, the chief grifter in charge, is turning his ire on the other MAGA grifters. It'll be fun. All right. His new grift is to get the grifters. I love it. All right. Now let's get a little bit serious here. This is it's a story that we're not going to screw around with so much here because it's kind of, I didn't even know it was happening, to be honest with you. I mean, I knew that it was in the hopper, but I didn't know it was going on this week. So it kind of shocked me today when I saw this. But we all remember the Robb Elementary School tragedy down there in Uvalde, Texas. Here on this show, we actually covered it from the first calls. The very first, we were about to sign on at noon for our noon show. And as we signed on, I said, guys, today's show is going to start with some breaking news out of South Texas in a town called Uvalde. There seems to be an incident involving an elementary school, and we followed it live as it broke, and we listened. We listened to the police scanner, and we listened to the police essentially say, and they said this over the scanner, this was not a school shooting. This was a car accident that occurred in front of the school. The person who was in the accident had a gun and ran away from that's what we were told. So at the start of this show, all those years ago, we decided to move on from that story. So, okay, we'll just do a regular show. So we did the regular show. The Uvalde thing seemed like it was nothing. Ended the show 2.5 hours later. We get on, I make myself a little bit of lunch, and I put on the news, and I'm seeing that there have been 13 children rushed to a hospital in San Antonio because of a school shooting. Anyway, the point is this. We jumped off that story, and it has always haunted me. We jumped off that story. It turned out to be a massive story, and it turned out not just a massive story, not just for the story of it, but just what we learned about Uvalde after, right? What we learned about the 77 minutes, and I don't know how much you've studied this or looked into it. There's a lot of really great documentaries. Hell, you can watch body cam footage of all 77 minutes while these police officers and special forces cops, or whatever you want to call them, as these guys all just stood there for 77 minutes listening to shots ringing out from inside the barricaded classroom, doing nothing. They did nothing. Adrian, well, wait, want to make sure we get the name right, because remember I called him Adrian Rodriguez, and that wasn't good. Adrian Gonzalez is the police officer who is standing trial in Corpus Christi. Now there are two. Chief Arenando, remember that guy? He was the chief of police in Uvalde. They kind of put it all on him. Two people have been charged here. You've got Chief Arenando, who was charged, and his trial is coming up. But first, we're going with the one cop who was charged. Now, there are dozens and dozens of cops, but Adrian Gonzalez is the guy that we're talking about here. Dateline Corpus Christi. They moved the trial out of Uvalde down to Corpus Christi because they didn't think he could get a fair trial there in Uvalde. A school police officer in Uvalde, Texas, stood by during one of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history and made no attempt to distract or stop the gunman before he opened fire inside the classrooms. This prosecutor told a jury on Tuesday morning. Adrian Gonzalez, who was among the first to respond to the attack in 2022, arrived while the teenage assailant was still outside the building and did not make a move. Even when a teacher pointed out the direction of the shooter, Special Prosecutor Bill Turner said during opening statements. So the teacher was like, he went that way, and this cop was like, cool, I'm going this way. The officer only went inside Robb Elementary minutes later, after the damage had been done, Turner said. Prosecutors focused sharply on Gonzalez's steps in the minutes after the shooting began. And as the first officer arrived, they did not address the hundreds of other local, state, and federal officers who arrived and waited for more than an hour to confront the gunman. Gonzalez has pled not guilty in the case, which is a rare example of charges being brought against an officer who's accused of not doing more to save lives. His attorney disputed accusations that he did nothing at what they called a chaotic scene, saying that Gonzalez helped evacuate children as other police arrived. Here's a quote now. The government makes it want to seem like he just sat there, said defense attorney Nico LaHood. He did what he could with what he knew at the time. Gonzalez, who is no longer a Uvalde school officer, faces 29 counts of child abandonment or endangerment and could be sentenced to a maximum of 2 years in prison if convicted. Excuse me. One of the sisters of the teacher who was killed in the classroom said he could have stopped him, but he didn't want to be the target, said Velma Duran, sister of teacher Irma Garcia, who was among the 19 students and 2 teachers who were killed. Duran, who arrived at the courthouse to watch the beginning of the trial, said authorities stood by more than 3 years ago while her sister died protecting children. Defense attorneys described an officer who tried to assess where the gunman was while thinking he was being fired on without protection against a high-powered rifle. Gonzalez was among the first group to go into the building before they took fire from Salvador Ramos. Isn't that a good thing? Salvador Ramos. Say his name. Salvador Ramos. That's the dude who killed everybody at Uvalde. We totally forgot that name. Mission accomplished. Salvador Ramos is not a famous, notorious name. Fuck you, Salvador Ramos. Everybody has forgotten your name. Good job. I'm saying it now because why not? You won't remember it. We don't care. Good. Because a lot of these guys just want the notoriety. This guy, Salvador Ramos, that was one of his things. He wanted to be famous. So fuck you. Gonzalez and former Uvalde School Police Chief Pete Arredondo are the only 2 officers to face criminal charges over the response. Arredondo's trial has not been scheduled yet. Gonzalez was a 10-year veteran of the police force. He had extensive active shooter training, the special prosecutor said. When you hear gunshots, you go to the gunfire, Turner said. Everything's a construct. Yeah, that's what we say. That's what we say. And that's what we're supposed to do. You hear gunfire, you're a cop, you run towards it. Sure we do. Not all of us. No, there's some people who are gunfire. It doesn't matter if they're wearing a badge. They're getting the fuck out of there because their survival is the most important thing. And the whole idea of a cop being there to save the citizenry from, serving and protecting. No, that's just something that's painted on the side of cars. Most of these guys make $35,000 a year. They don't give a fuck about you or your kids. It's the problem with policing. I say this, I come from a cop family. I grew up with cops. Cops were everybody. Half of my friends' dads were cops. Everybody was a cop. I know about good cops and bad cops. I don't just fucking back the blue. There's a lot of bad cops out there. And it looks like Uvalde was filled with them. A bunch of guys who were not willing to go John Rambo when it came to saving a bunch of 8-year-olds. Now, I'd like to think that I would go John Rambo, but I don't know. I don't know, and neither do you. What we do know is that Adrian Gonzalez did not. When the moment arose, Adrian Gonzalez, police officer from Uvalde, did nothing. But here's where my issue comes with this. And by the way, this has been done before. It seems rare, right? But Parkland, remember the Marjorie Stone Douglas high school shooting? There was a cop who, again, was charged with not doing enough during the Parkland Marjorie Stoneman Douglas school shooting. He was charged. He was put on trial, charged with 32 different counts of failing to protect children, and a jury acquitted him. The jury down there in Florida said, yeah, not his fault. What was he supposed to do? Die trying, apparently. I mean, this is the position that we've put these cops in. Now, I'm not here defending these Uvalde police officers. I think that what happened was horrible. I watched the 77 minutes, but it's far more complicated than just saying that all of these cops were monsters. They were all cowards. Every single one of these cops is a coward. But does that make them criminal? Is it because they were sworn in as officers that now being a coward is a criminal act? I don't know. It seems to me like we should have a better vetting process of police officers. It seems to me that if you hire and swear in an officer to do these expected duties, and then in the line of fire, they turn out to be cowards, I think that's on you. I think you hired a bad cop. I think maybe because you offer $35,000 a year, you're getting bottom of the barrel people. If community policing was $100,000 a year entry-level job, you might get a better caliber of people. But at this stage, all you're getting are security guards who can pass the mental fitness exam. That's what you're getting in these community police departments. So when you tell me that Adrian Gonzalez was first on the scene where some madman with a gun was mowing down kids and he did nothing, I don't know that that's necessarily criminal. It's cowardly, but is cowardice a criminal act? I don't know. We're going to find out. And are cops required to not be cowards? And if that's the case, there should be more of a concerted effort to root cowards out before the hiring process, right? During the hiring process. How do you do that? I don't know. I don't have answers. But I know that there is a bloodlust for these cops that did nothing. And I don't blame it. If I was a parent, I would be fucking livid. I mean, these cops, if I'm a parent of one of these kids and I see this cop in my town, I might want to rustle up a posse, drag him in an alley, and kick the fucking shit out of him. But I don't know that we can convict cowardice. I don't know. I don't know that is. Can we send someone to prison because they were unwilling to face almost certain death in a situation where they were outpowered? The gun power that this fucking idiot had was certainly more than the little pea shooter we give these school resource cops. I mean, it's a very complicated thing. Yes, we can do both. We can be very upset with this person. We can consider him a coward, and we can marginalize him from civilized society. Hell, we can force him to move, go somewhere else, and reinvent who he is. He's got that option. We can do all of that. I just don't know if we can put you in prison for it. We ought to put in prison. We ought to put in prison the person that hired him. Well, I think that's Chief Arredondo, and he'll be on trial. Now, this is different. The chief's trial is going to be interesting because the chief actually gave orders. Chief Arredondo actually gave orders on that day during those 77 minutes. If you remember, most famously, his order was, we are going to wait for the special team that is coming from the Border Patrol station. Apparently, there was a special team of commandos or something that were on their way to Uvalde. Chief Arredondo decided that instead of utilizing his county task force and his actual police department, that they were going to wait for this team of specialists from the federal government to arrive. It seems to me, and at the time it was mentioned, that it seemed like Arredondo was washing his hands of this and putting it in control of the federal government, which is not something that a chief of police does, which is a reason that I think he may be convicted of dereliction of duty or something like that. But the deaths, the shooting that occurred while these police officers stood out in that hallway, which you can watch on the body cam video, the deaths of those children and those teachers, the gunfires that was heard while cops did nothing, those deaths are on Arredondo's shoulders, I believe, because he's the one that told him to stand down and wait. That's the guy that should have been John Rambo. The chief, he should have said, we're going in right now. They sat in the hallway listening to the sounds of this madman killing children, and they did nothing. So, all right, the trial's going to continue. Again, Adrian Gonzalez is just a coward and a cop, but I don't know if we can put him on trial. I think the big one that we're going to watch is the chief who actually gave orders. That trial date hasn't been set. All right, that's going down there in Corpus Christi. Timmy Waltz. Let's talk about Minnesota Governor Timmy Waltz. He has decided that he is not going to run for re-election. Is it a third term or whatever there as governor of Minnesota? Says it's all because of the Somali fraud, whatever thing's been going on forever over there. He's taking a lot of shit, Tim Waltz. He's taking a lot of shit. Ever since he hooked up with Kamala Harris, he went from being, the Midwestern okey-doke governor to like just being some fucking dude who's gotten kicked in the teeth like every time he shows his face in sunlight. I mean, he's been demonized. His brand is done. Tim Waltz is a pussy. Tim Waltz is a coward. Tim Waltz he's a dummy. He's dum-ba-dum-ba-dum. He's a fucking okie. That's basically what Tim Waltz's brand is on the net. He's dead. He ain't running for president. Nobody will vote for him. The right has defined him. So same with Kamala, right? The right does a really great job with their media of defining and making unelectable on a national level any number of Democrats. However, the other side of that is that, Tim Waltz was a fucking op. That dude was fucking placed on Kamala Harris's ticket for one reason and one reason only. He was a Midwestern white guy. It wasn't because he was, the most capable guy. Should something happen to Kamala, which is the job of the vice president, he should come. No, it was they thought he was electable. So they wanted to put this you go girl up on stage with okey doke. That was the fucking play. And it was garbage. Nobody wanted to vote for that ticket. What the fuck is this ticket? So Tim Waltz is done. Tim Waltz, he can't. He seems, look, let me tell you about what I think Tim Waltz is. I think Tim Waltz is a good dude. I think he's a normal dude. He's a normal dude who got thrown into the national political meat grinder, and now he's done with it. He doesn't want to deal with it anymore. He's got beautiful daughters. He seems to have a nice life. He's probably accumulated enough money being a fucking politician. You know what I mean? He's got money. Doesn't need to get a job right away. So let him just go right off into the sunset, Tim Waltz. He is not going to be the future of the Democratic Party, and this is probably good. All right, Tim Waltz is gone. I had some other thoughts on Tim Waltz. What were my thoughts on him? I wanted to make sure that, I don't think he's a bad human being. I think that he was a manipulation. I think that there was no way that he should have been the vice president. Should have been the vice president. Josh Shapiro, but they didn't want to put a Jew on the ticket. We can't have an unlikable black woman and an angry Jew on the same ticket. Well, that would have been interesting. Josh Shapiro was cool. It's the Democrats. The Democrats have no interest in going after the kind of voter that won Trump 2 elections. Trump didn't win over. Trump isn't president because When did the sound go out? Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, it did that thing where it switched. Hold on. Oh, for crying out loud. Hold on, guys. Jeez Louise. I know I'm coming through the speaker. Hold on. Yeah, this happens every day, right? And if I'm not paying attention, so thank you. Hold on, guys. I got to do something different. I got to go away for a minute. Yeah, I can't get the audio back. Oh, for fuck's sake. Can't get the audio back. Come on, audio. Come on. Nope. 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 Can't get the audio back, mother fudger. Yeah, I know I'm not on mic. I know. That's a problem. Oh. There we go. Okay. Boom. All right, we should be back. All right, we should be back. All right, thank you, folks, for letting me know. You know, there's nothing we can do about that. That just happens. Happens every day for some reason. And if I happen to be on another page, which I often I'm not, like right now I'm on the homepage so I can see the chat room and all that. But a lot of other times I'm on other page. I'm reading news stories. And if the sound goes out while I'm on another page, I have no idea. So thank you to anybody that has my phone number that wants to call and let me know. I do appreciate that. All right. I wish I knew why this happens. I don't know why it happens. All right, one more time here. Let's thank you. Let's say our thank yous to today's executive producer. Our executive producer of today's show is the always helpful Barney. Thank you, Barney. Appreciate that. We'll leave Barney's name up there. Somebody, we don't need to leave Barney's name up there. All right, I don't even know where I am. I don't even know where I am in the rant. It doesn't matter. Tim Walz is done. Good for him. We need a whole new crowd. If the Democrats were smart, we will over the course of the next couple of months start to see new people that we've never seen before, that they're going to push towards the center, towards the, not the center politically, but towards, you know, the light, expose some new people. I'll tell you what I am seeing. I'm seeing them push a lot of like white guys in their 30s from middle America. They're doing that a lot now, which is probably good because you need to win over middle America. And you cannot win nationally. You can't win fucking Nebraska with, I'm sorry, an Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or a, you know, any of these. You just can't. I wish you could, but, you know, Kamala Harris. America's not ready for a black woman. Oh, stop it. America wasn't ready for that black woman. There's a huge difference. America might be ready for Oprah. I bet Oprah could win. Wouldn't that be? That would be, that I would endorse that. If the Democrats went, you know what, fine. We're just going to go all in. We're going to do this Trump thing. Ladies and gentlemen, we're running Oprah. Could you imagine Oprah at a debate with like all these? She'd be great. She'd be great. Yeah. Although maybe not, because Oprah's too nice, right? Oprah's like, Oprah adheres to the rules of civility, right? Whereas Trump, that was his angle. He didn't. Like, you weren't supposed to get on a debate stage and go, shut up, stupid, right? But Trump did that. That was the X factor. The people were like, oh, we've never seen this before. He's just not worried about being an asshole. Oprah couldn't do that. I don't think that that's how the left win, or the left, Jesus. I don't think that's how the opposition to MAGA wins, though, does it? Do they out MAGA? You see Gavin Newsom doing this. I mean, he just looks like such a fool. Gavin Newsom is such a fool. He is cooked before the fucking oven was even preheated. He is just fucking cooked. He looks like again, another op. He looks like a guy that they're like, well, the Democrats say he's next, so we're going to run him. Oh, Jesus. We have no choices. That's how we get Don Jr. as president. That's how we get President Don Jr. Because the Democrats can't come up with anybody that can appeal to people in Indiana. Do that. Run John Mellencamp. He's a liberal. They like him in Indiana. All right. Tim Waltz is gone and ain't nobody going to miss him. Now, the same can't be said for Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is going to be deported. Nicki Minaj, she ain't going to be deported. See, they ain't deporting Nicki Minaj, but apparently, Nicki Minaj should be deported. Apparently, by all the criteria that we are rounding up people with, Nicki Minaj, foreigner, Nicki Minaj, not here legally, Nicki Minaj, sitting on stage with Erica Kirk 2 weeks ago, trying to suck MAGA dick so they don't put her on a bus to El Salvador, Nicki Minaj. Yeah, so a bunch of people who got angry. Nicki Minaj went all right wing. Remember, she was with Erica Kirk, and that's fine. I mean, what Nicki Minaj thinks doesn't affect me one way or another. I'm not a 16-year-old girl or whoever it is that, I don't even know who Nicki Minaj appeals to. She's got one song that's really good. It's the only Nicki Minaj song I know. And you would think that I would, be motivated to check out other Nicki Minaj songs. Hey, Rob, I'm sorry. I'm going a little bit late. Rob, I'm supposed to have a meeting with Rob Barr. We set it for 2:30, but I'm going a little bit late, so I'll get there. We'll get there. Sorry. I just looked at the time, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I got to wrap this up. So anyway, a bunch of people have taken it into their own hands to point out to the United States government that Nicki Minaj meets all the criteria of people that should be rounded up and sent out. And they're not doing anything about it, but that's not stopping all the petitions to deport Nicki Minaj. So let's get into this. Nicki Minaj is facing increased calls for her to be deported to Trinidad and Tobago. Here's the thing. We're not sending people where they're supposed to go. We're just sending them all to an El Salvadorian prison. Like, if you're in this country and you're from Trinidad and Tobago, the way Nicki Minaj is, we don't send you back to Trinidad and Tobago. We made a deal with some dictator in El Salvador who was apparently cool with us. Made a deal with him, and we're putting all these people down there. We're not. This is not being done with any kind of attention to detail. This is just being done with, we got them, now they go somewhere. We're not thinking this through from a humanitarian standpoint. We're thinking it through solely from a political optic. Hundreds of thousands of people have now signed petitions calling for Nicki Minaj to be deported. It says the 43-year-old has found herself at the center of a huge controversy after she openly praised the president while speaking with Erica Kirk, the late wife of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. The pair had been given a talk as part of a Turning Point USA America Fest. Amid the drama, 2 petitions have been launched in recent days calling for Minaj to be deported to Trinidad and Tobago, where she was born and lived until the age of 5. The first petition has 88,000 signatures as of the time of this writing. The second has reached 50,000 signatures, with critics hoping the rapper will be kicked out of America. What? It doesn't matter. Whatever. Well, I don't care. I mean, even if I was a Nicki Minaj fan, I don't give a shit where my rock stars live. You don't have to be an American or a rap star or whatever. You don't have to be an American. You don't have to live in Hollywood or New York or wherever for me to like you. I love the Beatles. They ain't American citizens. Although I think one of the remaining ones is, right? Isn't Ringo Starr now an American citizen? He might be anyway. Moving on. There we go. That's a fun Nicki Minaj story. How fun is that? All right, let's talk about this one, the death of the starter home. This is in my series of focusing on us, the middle class, the working class, being fucked over at every turn. Why? Because we don't matter. We don't matter. We don't matter until you need our votes, and then they're not going to win our votes by giving us anything. They're going to win our votes by stirring us up by getting us angry at somebody else and then promising that they're going to handle it for us. That's how the middle class is manipulated. And in the process, everything is taken away from us because we're not super rich and can't help them increase their wealth. So we can't do that. So we don't get coddled by the political class. And we're not poor. We can't be used as a prop to get other. Look at, I'm standing with poor people. Isn't it sad for the poor people? Like, we're not that either. We're in the middle. We're fuck them. We are in the fuck them middle. Yesterday, I told you about the death of mid-tier hospitality. I told you about how all the restaurants and places, hotels was another one that was mentioned. We didn't get into that. Like, you know, the travel hotel, you're on the road with your family and you just want a place to stay for like $60 for the night. You're just going to sleep for 6 hours and then get back on the road. Yeah, those places are all fucking leaving, being replaced by these beautiful suites, which will cost you and your family $200 a night. But look at how much nicer it is. We don't need nice. We need practical. So today I'm going to tell you about the death of the starter home, which, you know, I saw this article and I thought, wow, this is interesting. But quite frankly, I thought the starter home died years ago. What is the starter home? Do young people even remember what a starter home? Here's the thing. Most Gen X, even some millennials, and certainly almost all boomers had this experience. And what is the experience? The experience is that around 9, 10, 11, or 12, you moved. You moved. At boomers, Gen X, you moved. Around 9, 10, you had to be the new kid in some new school. You moved from the old neighborhood, or you moved from, one place to another. Why? Because there was a thing in this country that was, most notably among the middle and the working class called the starter home. Wasn't your forever home. It wasn't your, it was the home that you bought after you had a couple of kids, needed a little extra room, and you got that big promotion down at the firm. The starter home was left in the dust for the next round of starter families, and you moved on to something nice, something nicer, something in the suburbs. The starter home does not exist anymore. Hasn't existed in years. Contractors, developers, they don't build starter homes anymore. You know why? Because everybody can get a mortgage that they can't afford, and why not dazzle them with shit they can't afford but will be on the hook for 40 years, so they aren't even building homes that a responsible young family can get into. Every home a responsible young family might be interested in is going to put them in debt for 50 fucking years, but they'll have a media room. We are being constantly manipulated into a position of subservience and debt by having our choices limited. Oh, yeah, well, all the TGI Fridays and all the mid-tier restaurants are going away, but why don't you go get yourself a $200 steak at Bob's? Put it on that credit card. What qualifies as a starter home these days, it says? Do its owners need to be a certain age or plan to live in it fewer than 5 years or maybe just 10? Or does the answer simply come down to price? People tend to have their own understanding, but starter homes are typically perceived as being on the smaller side, sometimes in need of renovation or both. Buyers often go in expecting to stay a few years to build equity, then trade up for something bigger and generally better. It's been a part of the American dream for generations. But the concept is antiquated, given current prices and big floor plans, a dynamic that's icing out many first-time and entry-level home buyers. But you know what? That's okay, because the article goes on to explain there are Chinese conglomerates and foreign conglomerates that are buying up entire neighborhoods. In fact, they're funding entire neighborhoods. And you know what? They'll just rent you the home. You won't own your first home. You won't be able to build equity. What, for you? No. That entire subdivision in Allen or McKinney that you drive by on 75 up to the casino there in Oklahoma, there are entire subdivisions that are owned entirely by Chinese interests. And they're all rentals. All of them. Keep us on the hook. Don't let us build any equity. Don't let a new family, a 25-year-old guy who married his 23-year-old sweetheart and they've got that new baby. No. They don't get to build any equity. What they get to do is rent from some foreign interest. Maddie is in real estate. She is more expert on this than I am. I'm a realtor. I can certainly debate the finer details of how the real estate industry has adjusted. I mean, I've never talked about this with Maddie, but I imagine that it's difficult. I imagine that right now it's difficult unless you've got a whole bunch of mansions, because apparently high-end real estate is booming. Oh, the rich people are buying second and third homes and then they're renting them out to us so that they get to build the equity. Adam says the fact that a corporation or organization own a home should be outlawed. Yeah. I mean, yes, I agree. But who's going to do that? Who's going to outlaw that? They're all getting paid off by developers. This is a new system where a small group of people are now going to make untold numbers of dollars. Who's going to be the congressman that's going to step up and go, yeah, I'm against that? No, this is just how it is. They have figured out a way to fuck the middle class even more. They figured it out. They don't need to be able to build equity in their 20s and 30s as they're building their families. No, they can rent. And then you know what? When he gets that promotion, then we'll get him into his first house and it'll be, hey, do you know that the median price for a home in America is over $400,000 right now? That's the median price for a home in America, $400,000. There are no truck drivers who is married to a waitress who are buying a first home. They're just, it ain't a thing in America anymore. And it's all another example of this ongoing and by design destruction of the American middle class. Everybody's going to be rich or everybody's going to be poor. For the rest of us in the middle, welcome to the fucking Hunger Games. You voted for it. You voted for it time and time again. All right, let's see what else. Flus is out. Let's do this. Flus is out there in Dallas as defensive coordinator of the Cowboys. Again, they fucking sold the rug out from under him. I mean, come on, man. I mean, he took over a job that had Micah Parsons, and he's like, okay, this is how we'll build it. And then they took him away. They took him away from him, and he was left with fucking garbage. And he was left with a team that was built around the idea that they had a shutdown edge. So it was an uphill battle from the very beginning. But okay, someone has to go. And just look at Flus. Flus is easy. It's like, get rid of that fucking nerd. Like, he's easy. He's like, nerd, bye-bye, nerd. He's easy to get rid of. Not like Brian Flores up there. And, Brian Flores isn't easy to get rid of. Just ask the Miami Dolphins. Anyway, so Eberflus is out, and the Cowboys are looking for a new defensive coordinator. And here in Chicago, we've been talking about this for a couple of days now is when I first started hearing it discussed up here. The idea that Al Harris, who was a long-time defensive backs coach for the Dallas Cowboys, and he was also Dan Quinn when Dan Quinn was the DC, right? I think Dan Quinn came in as DC. Al Harris was the defensive backs coach. He was also the assistant head coach under McCarthy. I believe that was in year one. Did he become the DC under McCarthy? I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure, but I do know that Al Harris, as being in charge of the defensive backs in the secondary there in Dallas, did a hell of a job. He's done an amazing job everywhere he's been. He was there from 2020 to 2024. In 2021, Diggs led the NFL with 11 interceptions. In 2023, he had Deron Bland. Remember that big breakout year he had? He had 9 interceptions overall. I think 5 of them returned for touchdowns. I mean, the dude knows how to coach ball hawking. That is what
Al Harris does. Al Harris is currently the defensive backs coach of the Chicago Bears, and he's leading the league in interceptions, while the rest of the defense is one of the worst defenses in football because there is absolutely no I could go into the problems with the Bears defense, but the secondary is not the problem with the Bears defense, and that's due to Al Harris. So it is believed that Al Harris will probably be moving on from Chicago after 1 year, and it looks like he's going to be going to the Commanders. It looks like the Commanders are either going to make him a defensive coordinator. He's worked with Dan Quinn before. He likes Dan Quinn. The Cowboys are talking about how they want him, but guess what? Jerry fucked him, and I think that's gonna be a deal breaker. I mean, that's what Al Harris and Dan Quinn obviously have a good relationship. Dan Quinn was the DC and Al Harris was his, defensive backs coach. They go back. Al Harris, I believe, was in Atlanta with Dan Quinn. I'm not sure on that, but I think he was. So that's what's going to happen because of the behavior of Jerry and Stephen Jones, not even giving Al Harris a conversation last year. When they fired McCarthy and all of his staff, Al Harris should have been brought in and they should have said, you know what? The players really like you. And oh my God, look at the stats. Look at what you have done coaching our defensive backs. They should have at least done the interview. They should have at least said, would you have any interest in being our defensive coordinator? But they didn't. They got rid of him because they're all fucking ham-fisted and they just went, let's get rid of everybody. He goes to Chicago. He's got a lights-out league-leading secondary in Chicago, and now he's going to get his chance and he's not going to go to Dallas. I don't know who Dallas is going to get as a DC. Are there any defensive coordinator head coaches? I think this might be a play they might go for. That's why they brought in Eberflus in the first place. He was a DC who was also a head coach to pair with the first-time head coach Shoddy. So I don't know. Are there any defensive Any staffs that are going to get blown out? I don't know. Anyway, Eberflus is gone. I think he got a raw deal, but again, Eberflus is one of those guys who he just looks easy to give a raw deal to. Fuck that guy. Jesus. Okay, there you go. So Al Harris hates you, Dallas. He doesn't hate Dallas. Probably loves Dallas. He lived there for a long time, but he doesn't like Jerry or Steven. So that's probably why he's going to go to the conference rival Washington Commanders and turn their secondary into a bunch of ball hawks because that's what he does wherever he goes. All right, I don't want to do this because I'm pressed for time here. So the Mean Girls mom group, Hillary Duff and Mandy Moore and Megan Trainor and Ashley Tisdale, they're all in like a mom group together, and apparently they're at war with one another. So we'll get into that tomorrow. We don't need that. Here's how we're going to end the show today. We're going to end the show with a discussion about Deliver Me from Nowhere. Oh, I got to get rid of this. Adam says he had the fourth worst defense of all time. He had to go. Really? That's it. Talk about ham-fisted. That's not weighing any of the considerations. That's just, he's got to go because it was bad for a lot of reasons. But I don't know that that's necessarily, that's thoughtless, Adam. He had the word. The stats say bad. He's got to go. I think you're making a mistake. And he's going to get hired again because he's a good defensive coordinator. And I think that there's a lot of people who kind of look at what happened here in Dallas and went, yeah. I can see how you were not prepared to coach that defense. That defense had nothing to do with the defense you had planned and strategized to have. Literally fourth worst defensive since sacks were recorded. That's okay. And you know what? I think the Chicago Bears defense is even worse. Isn't that statistically? Isn't the Bears the 32nd worst? Are you guys third? Well, there's 32 teams. I know. I still think the London Monarchs are real. So I've got 33 teams in my head, but they're not. All right. Anyway, I want to be done with this. How much you want to bet? I've already seen, talk of where he'll go next. He's probably going to go back to Indianapolis as the defensive coordinator there. I'll take this bet. You had him in 1 year in a vacuum. I'm telling you, this guy is a very highly respected defensive coordinator. He had to go. Yeah, as you're saying, Jerry probably couldn't make an excuse to keep him around. I don't think that's the right decision. I think that an owner who actually knows what he's doing would keep him there as the defensive coordinator and allow him to sort of through the draft and whatever build the defense that he knows how to build. But instead, you're just going to be stuck with Jack Sanborn because he's the one he brought over. No, I mean, I think you're wrong. I will take that bet. He will be a defensive coordinator next year. Okay. But, undeniably, that's not a good look. The numbers that they put up this year, not a good look for Dallas. But Adam, don't kid yourself. This is for the season ticket holders. That's all this is. Just for the season. He shouldn't be fired. Other things happen, but he got to do something. So let's fire the dork. And that's fine. That's fine. I'm not here to carry water for Matt Eberflus. I'm just here to be objective about what I've seen this guy do. That's all. All right. So now let me get into what I wanted to talk about all day here, because this is something that I wasn't prepared to do last night, but I did it anyway. And that was watch the Bruce Springsteen film, Deliver Me From Nowhere. Now, why is this a big deal for me? Well, it's because I love Bruce Springsteen. I don't just love his music. As a matter of fact, there's quite a few Bruce Springsteen songs that when they come on, I'm like, yeah, no, not in the mood for this today. Bruce can be maudlin. Bruce can be very self-introspective and slow. He loves the acoustic folk kind of thing. And yeah, a lot of that stuff I'm not a big fan of. But also, there's other things that look, if I were to make a list of the 20 greatest songs ever written, there's 5 Bruce Springsteen songs on that list. Atlantic City, which is a focal point of this film. The song Atlantic City. Well, they blew up the Chicken Man in Philly last night. Yeah, they blew up his house too. Down on the boardwalk, they're getting ready for a fight, going to see what them racket boys can do. There's trouble busting in from out of state, and the DA can't get no relief. Going to be a rumble down on the promenade, and the gambling commission is hanging on by the skin of their teeth. It's fucking poetry. He's like the fucking, I don't know. Look, either words affect you or they don't. There's a lot of people who are like, yeah, whatever. I mean, other people, the spoken word, the communicative connection. So that's what he is to me. And I fully understand that he's not that for a lot of people, that there are a lot of people who aren't moved by that. You can be moved by other people. You can be moved by Elton John is such a more talented lyricist. Elton John has never written a lyric in his life. Okay, I just want to point that out. That's Bernie Taupin who writes the lyrics, but you know what I mean? Whoever you like, you can like whoever you want. Some people with music is an art. Music is, there's connective tissue there. It just resonates different with people. So whenever somebody says, I like this person and somebody's like, oh, fuck you, they suck. It's like, what is this? Do you go to an art gallery and stand in front of a painting and somebody says, oh, I really like this one? You go, fuck you, it sucks. I mean, no, it's art. It resonates differently with different people. Above and beyond that, Bruce Springsteen, over the course of my understanding of who he is, has comported himself as just the anti-rock star, just a regular guy. No security, no red carpets, none of that nonsense. So I like him. I like his message. I like what seems to be important to him. And most importantly, Bruce Springsteen to me has always struck me as the most authentic of musical acts. He is just real. For all of whatever it is, right? I mean, he's not David Lee Roth, rock star. He's not trying to do any of that shit, man. He believes in the church of rock and roll. That's just corny or whatever you want to say, cringe. It doesn't matter. He's authentic. He's a real guy. You can dislike him. That's fine. But I have never seen anything from this guy that made me go, oh, he's a dick. I can't say that for a lot of rock stars. A lot of rock stars are just fucking assholes. Well, anyway, there's a number of things that draw me to him. First and foremost is his ability to turn a phrase with a sentence. So This movie, when it came out, I was very excited upon first hearing about this film, Deliver Me From Nowhere. And then I saw the casting, and then I saw this and that, and then I started hearing about it, and there was more details about what the film was actually about, and I was kind of like, ooh, you know, I wanted Freddie Mercury. I wanted that. I wanted the full story. And instead, what I was being promised is, you know, Carmy from The Bear playing Bruce Springsteen during a very specific 6-month period in his life in 1981. It didn't appeal to me. I was like, oh no. I go, they're going to drill into, because I knew what it was going to be about. It was going to be about Nebraska. Nebraska is a polarizing Bruce Springsteen album. It is polarizing because the people who think Born in the USA is his best song fucking hate Nebraska. And people who think Atlantic City is one of the greatest songs ever written love Nebraska. Count me in the group that thinks that Nebraska is a great album, but it was a departure album for him. He had just come off his biggest tour ever. He'd just come off the River Tour. He had hits with Hungry Heart and Born in the USA and The River and all of this stuff, and he was at a transitional part in his career. The record company was now like, holy shit, dude, you are not only critically acclaimed and selling out these concert halls, and the people are saying you're the greatest live act going, and now you've got a couple of hits. Bruce, we need you to make a pop album. And he didn't. He made Nebraska, which was an acoustic folk album. And as I say, it's polarizing because people who came to Nebraska after being hip to Springsteen through pop hits that came in the mid-90s, Nebraska is more of what I think authentic Bruce is if he didn't have to sell albums. So that's what this movie's about. This movie is about him coming off the road from the River Tour, decompressing in his little house in New Jersey, and the record company demanding that he put something out right now. We got to capitalize on this tour you were just on. And him going, yeah, I want to do this instead. And he made The River. And the record company was not happy. They're like, are you fucking kidding me? You are turning in an acoustic folk album that you recorded in your bedroom on a 4-track? What the movie also explores, though, and I didn't want to watch it because I didn't think that, I was like, I want a larger view of Springsteen. I want something that other people who are not Springsteen fans can watch and then go, oh, I'm going to check him out. And this seemed way too myopic. This seemed way too targeting the hardcore Springsteen fan. So I was like, and I've read so many Springsteen biographies. I didn't think there was anything new that was going to be shown to me in this. And I wasn't really on board with Jeremy Allen White playing Bruce Springsteen because I didn't see it. I don't see it. I don't know how he's going to become Bruce Springsteen. And I even said earlier, I would have preferred a no-name actor. I would have preferred somebody we never saw before who could actually become Bruce Springsteen, and I could get lost in that. I didn't think Jeremy Allen White could do that. So I finally watched the movie last night. I want to show you a trailer for it, just so you know. If you're unfamiliar, we'll watch the trailer, and then I'll give you my review. I've told you exactly why I didn't want to see this movie, but now after seeing it, I'll let you know exactly how I feel. Here we go. This is the trailer. It's available on pay-per-view now. I think it might even be on Prime for free soon. But here we go. This is the trailer for Deliver Me From Nowhere, the Bruce Springsteen movie.
It's a 305 V8.
Never owned a new car before.
It's awfully fitting for a handsome devil rock star. I do know who you are.
Well, that makes one of us.
Hey, boss, can you do a mic check?
How's that sound?
Looks about right.
Don't need to be perfect. I want it to feel like I'm in the room by myself.
Yeah.
Let's try one.
Here's what I want you to understand. This is not about either one of us. This is not about the charts. This is about Bruce Springsteen. And these are the songs that he wants to work on right now.
I saw her standing on her front lawn, just a twirling
I'm going to tell you a little story. When Bruce was little, he had a hole in the floor of his bedroom. Me and her, the floor that's supposed to be solid, that you're supposed to be able to stand on. Bruce, he didn't have that. Bruce is a repairman. And what he's doing with this album is he's repairing that hole in his floor. He's repairing that hole in himself. And once he's done that, he's going to repair the entire world.
Trying to find some real in all the noise.
You always do.
All right. So you're familiar with what it looks like. The question that I had for this movie going into it was, because I have such a fandom and such a working knowledge of what it was going to be about, I wondered, is this film just for me? Is it just for me and people like me? Or can somebody who doesn't know just remove the fact that it's about a real rock star and that this is ostensibly a true story about what he went through in a period of time in his life? Remove that. Could somebody who doesn't know who Bruce Springsteen is just watch this as a movie about a guy who's a rock star? Like, and would they enjoy it because of the story? That was the question that I had. Because I think that there's I think Bruce is polarizing. I think that there's people who just don't get it, and then there are people who totally get it. He's not the first. Bob Dylan is that, right? Bob Dylan is somebody who was polarizing in that way. Hell, Prince was that way for a lot of people. Prince was polarizing. I think, and here's going to be a little bit an inkling of what my review of this film is. I think if you were just watching this to see a story unfold, I think that you can get into it. I think if you're somebody who has decided that, you don't like Bruce and it doesn't resonate with you, I don't think you should waste your time. But now, more to the point, how did it affect me as somebody who loves Bruce, who had real apprehension about watching this, who put it off and then finally went, all right, I'm going to watch it. Here is my review. What do we do? We'll do it out of 4 stars. Okay. Out of 4 stars, my review is 4 fucking stars. 4 fucking stars. If you are a Bruce Springsteen fan, this movie just will make you love him even more. It will make you understand things about why this album came out when it did. I mean, I had no idea. Look, I knew that he had sort of a rough relationship with his father. And by the way, his father is portrayed, Doug Springsteen is portrayed by Stephen Graham, who is just an amazing actor in everything that he does, whether it's Stephen Graham from Peaky Blinders or Stephen Graham from Adolescence. He, as Douglas Springsteen, his father, is terrific. Bruce's dad was an alcoholic who had mental problems. He was mentally unstable. He was physically violent. And Bruce Springsteen spent his entire life thinking that his job was to defend his mother. Okay. His father knocked his mom around and is violent. Bruce kind of took it upon himself from a little boy, while loving his father and having this sort of contradiction. He felt that it was his job to sort of defend his mom. And when Bruce went off to go be a rock star, he carried this incredible guilt with him and concern and fear for what was happening to his mother. He felt guilty for abandoning. He felt guilty for going off and, treating the world with his songs. So that's something that carried him. And then where this film takes place, it's at a point in his life where he is starting now to take that next step to superstardom. Right now, he's a functioning, wealthy, successful rock star, but his record company is saying, we're going to blow you up. You've got a #1 album in you. So he's looking at that. And he's taking some time off. He's just come off the road. This is what the movie is about. He's come off the road. He's living in this house back in his hometown. He's afraid of what the record company wants to do with him next. They are demanding a new album. He's got the studio time set up. And he fucking writes Nebraska, which everybody upon hearing was like, are you committing career suicide? Are you trying? And he's like, I've got to write this album. I gotta. By the way, the song Nebraska, and I guess I didn't really know this, but that whole album is inspired by the serial killing spree of Charles Starkweather, which I didn't know. I didn't know until, the scenes of Bruce sitting there watching Night of the Hunter and reading about Starkweather and all this stuff. I'm like, wow, that all makes sense now. So he puts out the album, the record company is like, fuck, we got to put this fucking album out. Jesus Christ. And here's the real rub. He had been recording songs in the studio and he was playing songs for the record company, and he plays the record company the first cut of Born in the USA. And the record company is like, we got a #1 single. Bruce has got a #1 single. And then Bruce goes, yeah, I'm putting all that shit on the shelf. I'm going to record this acoustic album first. And the record company was like, oh, fuck. But they let him do it because they knew that he had Born in the USA and all of those songs, 7 top 10 singles on Born in the USA. It's still like the 20th best-selling album of all time. 7 top 10 singles in a row off that album. The record company knew that was coming, and Bruce is like, yeah, I'm going to put that on the shelf. We'll release that in a couple of years. First, I'm going to do this one. First, I'm going to do this really sad one that I wrote about my relationship with my father as it's funneled through a vision of a serial killer. The record company obviously was like, no. Which is where the one thing about this movie I want to talk about that I really think stood out. If you're a fan of Succession, the TV show, then you may have been dazzled by Jeremy Strong, who played Kendall Roy. Jeremy Strong, everything Jeremy Strong is in, he is like the best actor in it. Jeremy Strong is an acting genius. He plays John Landau in this film. He plays John Landau, who was Bruce Springsteen's manager, lifetime manager from the beginning. John Landau was a music critic for Rolling Stone who went to a club in New Jersey and saw this unknown guy named Bruce Springsteen. He was going to write an article for Rolling Stone about this guy that everybody in New Jersey was talking about. And he sees Springsteen at the Stone Pony, writes a review for Rolling Stone, and then goes into Jan Wiener's office and goes, I quit. I'm going to manage that guy. And Landau managed him to superstardom. Jeremy Strong, Kendall from Succession, plays John Landau. I don't know. I'd have to really think about who the other best supporting Oscar candidates are, but Jeremy freaking Strong as John Landau, as the guy that would Jimmy Iovine, Clive Davis, whoever it is, John Landau, the guy in this movie that had his fucking guys back. No matter what Bruce wanted to do, no matter how fucking crazy it was, no matter how outside of, the parameters of what would dictate success were, John Landau was like, you sure you want to do this, Bruce? He's like, yeah, I got to do it, man. All right, I got your back. I enjoyed the film. I enjoyed the story. I love the guy. I love the guy even more now. I have an understanding. I mean, just to know how kind and decent and thoughtful and considerate of others he has been his entire life in his entire public career, coupled with the unrivaled, in my opinion, artistic fucking output. So I understand now that he went through all this and that he has this relationship. He loves his dad, but his dad really did a number on him. It's It's just terrific. It's just very good. So I'm sorry that I waited so long. I give 4 out of 4 stars. Who was it? Was it Bill Falk who said he paid $20 to see it and he fell asleep? I get that. I get it. This is not a fast-paced movie. This is a story this is a movie that is about the details. And if you're familiar, like if you're already a fan, then you'll find it interesting. There are these long moments where he's in his room and he's trying to put together the chords for these songs. And if you're a Springsteen fan and if you love Nebraska, you're sitting there going, oh, that's State Trooper. He's working on State Trooper right there. Or, oh my God, that's the opening to Atlantic City, right? It's exciting. So maybe part of the reason I give it 4 out of 4 stars is because I have an understanding and awareness of the story, the background story. And I can see why, someone like Bill would say, I paid $20 for it and I fell asleep. I could see that. Like if you're not being triggered by all these little fucking Easter eggs that they put in there for real diehard Springsteen fans, then maybe it is a slightly boring story. But I do say that it's a good film. Even if you don't like Springsteen, even if it wasn't about a rock star, if it was just about a generic guy named Phil Johnson, I think the story is worth watching. So there you have it. 4 out of 4 stars. I'm a bit biased. Deliver Me From Nowhere. Such a great album. Oh, by the way, it should be mentioned. It should be, and I don't want to bury the lead or not bury the lead, but I don't want to give it up. At the end of the film, it has the postscript. Bruce would go on to record Born in the USA. 1 year later, it would become the #1, blah, blah, blah. But then what about Nebraska? And they're like, despite everything the record company said, despite everybody saying, we're going to let you put this album out because we know you've got Born in the USA on the shelf. So we're going to let you put out this sad little dark folk acoustic album. It's not even folk acoustic. It's not, but that's what they call it. Anyway, Nebraska went on to be a massive hit. Just despite it all, went on to be a massive hit. Here, hold on. Play this for you. It was just such a departure, man. It was just such a departure from everything else that he ever did. Anyway, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I'm listening to Nebraska in my car now for the next few days. But my picks to click on Nebraska are State Trooper and, of course, Atlantic City. Those are my 2 favorites. The title track, Nebraska, which is about the Charles Starkweather and serial killing and all that. It's a little bit too maudlin, and it's a little bit. I like when Bruce sings about his own life, not when he sings about other people. And I like when Bruce sings about fictional characters, not actual ones who were serial killers. Anyway, 4 out of 4 stars for Deliver Me From Nowhere. Folks, one more time, I want to thank our executive producer of today's show. His name was Billy. No, it's not Billy. It's Barney. Oh, my God. Why did I think it was Bill? Maybe tomorrow. Barney is today's executive producer. Thank you so much, Barney. I appreciate it. If you want to help this show move forward into this new year, drop a little something in the Venmo or the Cash App. I see that nobody has tipped yet today. At least that's my overview of it. Maybe that'll change. Help out if you can. If you can't, like, forward, subscribe, do all of that good stuff, okay? Promote the show. Help the algorithm. No, you're awesome, Al. Adam says, I am more of a darkness on the edge of town guy, but I love Nebraska. Need to watch the movie. Yeah, I think, you know what, Adam, because you're a music guy and, I would never have pegged you for somebody who appreciates Springsteen. I don't know why I would never, I just don't, I don't see Springsteen as really being, I've seen him 3 times in Dallas. Okay. They were all sold out. They were all fucking crazy, huge shows at the United Center or American Airlines Center. But I don't see Texas as like, I don't know many Springsteen fans that live in I just don't know that he's, anyway, it's cool. It's cool that Adam appreciates him. It's cool. Adam likes, Adam's a big music guy, but he doesn't necessarily, I think, like middle-aged men who sing about white boy problems. But thank you for being open. Thank you for appreciating. Yeah, and Darkness on the Edge of Town is, I can't pick a favorite. Like I can't. I think The River is amazing. I think The Wild and the Innocent is, I think they're all amazing. I think they are all amazing. I even Born in the USA, which is the one that everybody shits on because people like to shit on that album because it's his by far most successful and it was the most pop, album that he's ever done. I love that album. I love the song I'm Going Down. The song I'm Going Down, people always other Springsteen fans get mad at me because whenever I make my list of my favorite Springsteen songs, it's Thunder Road, Atlantic City, and I'm Going Down. And they're like, I'm Going Down? I'm like, it's so great. It's so great. State Trooper is on there. Oh, can I tell you about State Trooper from Nebraska, which is a song on Nebraska? I never appreciated State Trooper until The Sopranos. The Sopranos use the song State Trooper so well in one of their episodes. And I'm like, oh my God, that song just clicked for me because it's being used in The Sopranos. Anyway, that's enough of that. I highly recommend it if you're into such things. And Adam, I would say go watch it. I think that as far as these music bios go, it's one of the better ones. Freddie Mercury one was good. I thought the Bob Dylan one was good, but I thought that it was also a little bit. Bob Dylan's movie could have been shorter. I think there was, for some reason they made it that long. The Elton John one is terrible. I don't know if you saw Rocket Man. That is terrible. Don't waste your time. The Springsteen one, if you're a Springsteen fan, you'll really love it. And if you're not a Springsteen fan, I think you might be a Springsteen fan afterwards because the guy is just so authentic. He is the anti-rock star, and that resonates with me. All right, I love you guys. Thank you to Barney, today's executive producer. I got business I got to do with other people. Rob, I'm coming, I promise. See y'all tomorrow at noon for more of The Rant.